Barry Burns and the Minnesota Vikings have yet to solve the championship puzzle. And some may say that the Vikings have mortgaged their future on Herschel Walker. But in Minnesota, the future is now. And suddenly, a once troubled Viking team hopes they have acquired the final piece to the puzzle. The Detroit Lions have put together an assembly line of young talent. And last Sunday in Tampa Bay, they manufactured their first win.
29 seconds to go. Rodney Peete steps to his left, rolls to his right. He's got real estate. He's to the far. He's to the corner. Touchdown!
And now, with the taste of victory still fresh, the Lions are looking to restore the roar. Two weeks ago, these young Lions gave the Vikings a run for their money. And now, with a healthy Rodney Peete, Detroit looks to stall Minnesota's title run. And welcome to the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan for a Central Division battle between the Minnesota Vikings and the Detroit Lions. The Vikings and Bears tied for first in the Central Division, where a spirited race is shaping up, and the Lions may be in last place, but they're coming off their first win of the season and feeling good about themselves. And good afternoon again, everyone. I'm Dick Stockton, along with my partner, Dan Fouts, and of course, they are positively euphoric in Minnesota after what Herschel Walker has done since he arrived there. And of course, he is going to make his first start officially today, and people are wondering what he can do for an encore, Dan.
Well, it should be just as good as last week against Green Bay, but more important than what he's done on the field for this Viking team, it's what he's done off the field. He's taken a team that has been the team turmoil for this season and really focused them on football, and that's good news for Viking fans.
Good news for Lions fans as well, because for the first time, their two great rookies, Rodney Peete, the quarterback, and Barry Sanders, the running back, are healthy and going to play today. What kind of impact would they have?
Well, Rodney Pete's really looking forward to it. He told me yesterday that ever since the day the two of them were drafted, that this was the moment he was waiting for, to see the excitement of his talents and Barry Sanders. But Wayne Fonts told us yesterday that the Lions must do two things to win this ball game today. Number one, cut out those terrible turnovers they've had on offense. And number two, on defense, make the Vikings drive 80 yards. Don't give up the big play to Carter, to Walker, or to Jordan.
And they do have a lot of threats there. The Vikings have lost 4 straight on the road. Their last time they won was here at the Silverdome a year ago. Rich Carlos will be kicking off for Minnesota as the Lions have won the toss. They have 3 men deep, including Barry Sanders, who used to return kicks at Oklahoma State. He's flanked by Carl Painter and Walter Stanley. We're underway in Detroit, and a short kick heading over towards Stanley on the 10. And great special teams hustle that time by Brent Novoselsky will give the Lions terrible field position. And Rodney Peete, the 6th-round draft pick, who last week ran for the winning touchdown in an impressive effort for the Lions, will have an offensive line of Lomas Brown, Eric Andelsek, Kevin Glover, Ken Dallafor, and Harvey Salem. Barry Sanders, the running back, and the 4 wide receivers in the silver stretch, Robert Clark, Richard Johnson, Stacy Mobley, and Walter Stanley. Tony Page is in an I formation lineup for the Lions, with Page the F-back. Barry Sanders brings it out to the 9-yard line. Gave him about 4 with Thomas and Audrey McMillan. The usual impressive Minnesota defensive line, Al Noga, Henry Thomas, Keith Millard, and Chris Dolman. But they'll use only 2 linebackers against the silver stretch, Mike Merriweather and Scott Studwell. 4 cornerbacks, the regulars Carl Lee and Reggie Rutland. The nickelbacks Darrell Smith and Audrey McMillan. Joey Browner is the lone safety in that alignment. 2nd down and 6. Now they have just 1 back. Peete is sacked. That was Al Noga. They all talk about Millard and Dolman and the rest, and Noga gets the sack there.
Well, when you have two very quick ends like Noga and Dolman, one guy's going to force the quarterback over to the other guy, and that's what happens in this case. Good pressure up front there as Noga just fights off Harry Salem. Pete does the right thing of stepping up into the pocket, but the pocket's too small.
It'll be 3rd down and 8. The ball is a 7. 4 wide receivers in the silver stretch. In motion, Richard Johnson. And a penalty marker goes down. And the penalty will be against the Lions, half the distance. Pat Haggerty is our official today, and headaches off the top for Wayne Fonts.
Oh, one of those headaches is penalties. The penalties.
Number 65, still 3rd down.
They had 13 penalties in the first game against the Vikings, the Lions did, and this has been a problem for the Lions all year long. 52 penalties in just 6 games.
Only the Oilers have more. Eric Andelsick, the guilty party, the left guard. That'll bring up 3rd down and 11. In his own end zone, Pete completes it to Johnson. Johnson fights his way out to about the 6-yard line where Al Noga, who already has a sack, makes the tackle that time. It'll be 4th down, and the Lions will have to kick Jim Arnold deep into his own end zone.
Special teams have already played a big part in this game. The great coverage by the Viking kickoff coverage team pinned the Lions offense back, and they never get anything started.
Arnold doesn't have much room back there. He's leading the NFL in punting. Leo Lewis goes deep, and he's practically at midfield for the Vikings. Fine kick by Arnold, as good as you'll ever see. Lewis on his own 35. Brings it up to the 44. A 59-yard kick by Jim Arnold. But now the Vikings have the ball for the first time, and Tommy Kramer will lead them out. Those are his numbers this year. The rest of his offensive unit, first the line, healthy for the first time. Gary Zimmerman, Randall McDaniel, Loudermilk, Kalis, Irwin, and Jordan, the tight end. And we'll give you the Minnesota offense after this play. 1st and 10 on the 45. Play action. Kramer going deep for Hassan Jones. And it's broken up by Benny Blade and William White, the safety.
One thing you're not going to get against the Detroit Lion defense is a long pass. They play a very conservative zone defense. Vikings went with a smart play call that time, faking the ball up in the middle to Herschel Walker on the play action pass, trying to get Jones down over the middle, but Benny Blades was right there.
Vikings don't feel they can run very much against the Lions. They've stopped just about everyone and may have to rely on the pass. 2 tight ends on 2nd and 10. Herschel Walker. Just shy of midfield, Chris Spielman and Victor Jones, a couple of inside linebackers, make the stop for the Lions. The Detroit defense, very tough against the run. Eric Williams, Jerry Ball having a terrific year at nose tackle, and Kevin Brooks. Jimmy Williams, Chris Spielman, Victor Jones, and George Jamison, who's starting in place of Michael Fulfer at linebacker. Terry Taylor and Jerry Holmes are the cornerbacks. William White and Benny Blades, we've seen them in action already, the safeties, with Crockett and Griffin in nickel situations. It'll be 3rd down and 5 at midfield for the Vikings. Jim Gustafson is in as a 3rd wide receiver. Carter is at the top of your screen. Pass complete to Gustafson, and a Viking first down on the Lion 40. Benny Blades on the stop, a gain of 10.
Gustafson is in motion here, and he's going to be working against Benny Blades, number 36. Gustafson is number 80, and he's going to run a pattern that down across the middle and then back out. A nice individual cut, and you saw the protection that Kramer had, and it's a first down for the Vikings.
There's Gustafson. who came into the game with 5 receptions on the year. You wonder if the Lions can handle Minnesota's passing attack. First down on the Detroit 40. There's a pass to Carter, a bit high, and he paid for it. Terry Taylor was covering. Boy, receivers hate that high throw, don't they, on a slanted?
Well, they really do, and when Tommy Kramer misses, he usually misses high, and Anthony Carter may not recover from this shot, at least today. Take a look at it from the end zone, and the guy that comes in with the big hit is Chris Spielman. It may be even a little bit late. Here's the high throw from Kramer. The first hit from Blades, and then Spielman just finishes him off, and there goes the helmet.
The helmet went 23 yards downfield, if you're measuring.
There's the big hit from Blades, and then Spielman just, I don't know, I'm not sure how to describe that.
That's got to be the scariest play for any wide receiver. And Carter is really stung by it. Keep in mind, he has been bothered by a hamstring pull all season and has never been 100%.
Well, they talk about receivers hearing footsteps. Well, Anthony Carter is hearing bells right now. And he's wondering who's going to answer that phone.
He started at the University of Michigan, not far from here at Ann Arbor. This is not a great welcome back.
Well, you know, Chris Spielman's an old Buckeye. No love lost there between the Ohio State and Michigan, that's for sure.
Chris Spielman, who is making his presence felt as an impact linebacker for the Lions so far this season.
Well, he certainly did there.
Gustafson replaces Carter in the lineup. It'll be 2nd and 10 for the Vikings. Alfred Anderson gets 2 yards. Spielman again on the tackle. Anderson and Rick Fenny will be alternated at fullback, bringing in the plays today for the Vikings.
Well, check out Spielman. Last week he had 14 tackles against Tampa Bay. Already has had the hit of the game so far on Anthony Carter, and this is what he does best, plugging up those holes and stopping the backs for little gain.
Little perturbed with Woody Woodenhofer this week with a comment Woody made.
Well, Woody said that he hadn't played that well last year, but that he's playing more under control this year. And he compared him to Jack Lambert. Now, if I was Spielman, I'd take that as a great compliment.
So would I.
And I think he did, after he understood what the comments were all about.
Out of the shotgun on 3rd and 8. Wide open is Anderson. He'll have a first down for Minnesota. No one in the middle, and Alfred Anderson picks up 10 yards inside the Lion 30, where Ray Crockett, the nickel defensive back, makes the tackle.
It'll be interesting to see what type of adjustment that Bob Schnelker, the offensive coordinator for the Vikings, makes if Anthony Carter cannot continue today. That time he brought in an extra back, DJ Dozier, and played him as a wide receiver. One thing for sure, Schnelker will let you know exactly how he feels at all times on that sideline.
An opinionated guy, huh?
Yeah, and he is very excited, though, about the acquisition of Herschel Walker. Gives him a lot more tools to go with that offense. It's very explosive without him.
On first down, here's Walker. Lions read that play perfectly, and Walker gained maybe a yard, if that much. And again, Chris Spielman and Victor Jones in on the play.
Let's check it out from the pin here, because this is Jerry Ball working on Loudermilk, number 93 right in the middle. But this isn't really Herschel's strong point, running wide from split back formation. He likes to carry the ball from the I formation, get back deep in the backfield, 7-8 yards, so he can hit that line of scrimmage going forward with a lot of momentum.
2nd down and 10 on the Lion 28. The Vikings are going to call a timeout. They've been using 2 tight ends, by the way, with Novoselsky joining Jordan. So Minnesota calling its first timeout of the first half. There's Jerry Burns. Saw his team make up the distance in a hurry and tie Chicago coming into the 7th week. For the Vikings, Anthony Carter is back in the starting lineup. So that'll relieve some of the problems in the wide receiver area for Bob Schnelker. Carter was hit hard on a slant and high pass and missed a couple of plays.
It'll be interesting to see if the Vikings call any passes to Carter over the middle, and what happens if the ball is thrown to him, because he'll be tested again.
Second down and 10 for the Vikings on the Lions 28. Kramer wants to throw. He was going for Carter, but the pass was way behind him, and that'll bring up third down.
Actually, I believe that Tommy was just throwing that ball away. Carter was well covered by Terry Taylor, as was Steve Jordan, who was in a shorter zone, and it appeared to me that Tommy just let it fly over Jordan's head for the incompletion. One thing he doesn't want to do is take a sack here and take his team out of field goal range. Carlos doesn't have the strongest of legs, so every yard is important right now for the Vikings.
3 wide receivers, in Detroit has 6 defensive backs. That's the drive thus far. Herschel Walker, as a receiver for the first time today, makes the grab, but he doesn't get enough for the first down. Ray Crockett makes the tackle, but the Vikings are in field goal range for sure.
Well, we talked about how deep all the Vikings are. Here are the 2 safeties, and then watch everybody drop off into their zones. Walker's going to come out of the backfield and catch a short pass, and the Lions will hold him before he gets to the first down. Good coverage by the Lions, and Walker is gang tackled.
For Jerry Burns, he's looking for the lead, and Rich Carlos has struggled. His longest field goal has been from 28 yards. This will be a 40-yard attempt. Bucky Scribner holding. The kick is good. So the Vikings, who have been struggling in every kicking area, score first on a 40-yard field goal by Rich Carlos. It's the Vikings 3 and the Lions nothing. The second time in less than a month, we have seen the devastation and loss brought on by a natural disaster. This week, our hearts go out to the people of Northern California. We have watched and shared in your ordeal, and we know that a staggering amount of work lies ahead in order to restore life to normal. Fortunately, many fine agencies are actively providing relief assistance. Should you care to help, we may suggest that you check your local newspapers for the appropriate support agency in your area. 7 minutes and 24 seconds remaining in the first quarter. The Vikings, on a Rich Carlos field goal, lead the Lions. Carlos getting set to kick off. The man in the middle is Barry Sanders. Returning kicks for the first time this year. Again, off to the right, and it's going to be Sanders at the 4. Penalty markers fly all over the place as Sanders finally goes out of bounds a yard short of midfield, and it was Rich Carlos who drove him there. But there are penalties down, and you know what the normal penalty is on kickoffs.
Some type of illegal block. That's very reminiscent of what happened to the Vikings last week against the Packers when Herschel Walker returned the first kickoff 50-some-odd yards, only to have it brought back. But it still electrified that crowd at the Metrodome. The Silverdome crowd's on fire right now.
Well, Bob Schnelker said even though that kick by Walker last week was brought back because of penalties, that really sparked the whole team on the sidelines. They got all excited. Let's see.
We have tripping on the return and a hold on the return.
Well, they were trying, weren't they? There's probably no more exciting play in all of football than a good kickoff return. It has a way of grabbing everybody in such a long way to
51,
go.
holding 15. First down.
Nico Noga with a first and Toby Caston with the second. A 45-yard scintillating kickoff return by Barry Sanders is nullified, and so the Lions will start from their 12. Swings it out and overthrows the intended receiver, Keith McDonald. Right now for an NFL Today report, let's check in with Brent Musburger in New York. Brent?
Well, Dick, Miami and Dan Marino strike first against the Packers of Green Bay. This is Marino's 9th touchdown pass of the year. He also has served up 11 interceptions. Jensen with 3 TDs on the year, 7 zip Dolphins. Back to Dick.
All right, Brent, thank you. So Dolphins, after beating the Browns and the Bengals, lead the Packers, who are only a game behind the Bears and the Vikings in the Central.
Yeah, but the Packers don't get started in the second half anyway, right?
That's right.
Not to worry.
Second down and 10. Sanders gets to the 15 where he's hung up by Scott Studwell. How potent is the run and shoot, and called the Silver Stretch here in Detroit? The Lions really haven't unraveled it yet because they don't have their people. But
I'm not sure what they call it at the University of Houston. But look at this score last night, 95-21. But the important thing for SMU is that they won the time of possession battle there.
A moral victory. Could you imagine over 1,000 yards?
I feel like Forrest Drake feels. I want to know who's responsible for this score.
Let me think. Third down and 7 on the 15 for Detroit. Rodney Peete on the run has Richard Johnson. And the Lions have a first down as Carl Lee makes the play on Johnson just beyond the 17-yard line.
A little smile from Rodney Peete. He knows that he's throwing the ball just a little bit high, and you can't afford to throw it high to some of these receivers. Richard Johnson's only 5'6", and he had to stretch all the way out to make that grab, but he did pick up the first down.
Third appearance of the year for Rodney Peete. Came in as a 6th-round draft pick.
Yeah, and he's the starting quarterback, and he felt coming into training camp he had a shot at being that starting quarterback. Now he's looking at the owner's box and saying, hey, how about making that contract right?
Probably will.
Oh, they should. That's the way it works. You earn it.
On the 24th, first down. Johnson was the intended receiver. He was covered by Carl Lee. 6:06 remaining in the first quarter. 3-0 Minnesota. Good pressure that time by Chris Dolman as we bring you up to date on the score.
And again, young quarterbacks, when they get a little bit edgy to start a ball game, they tend to throw high. And we've seen that a couple of times with Peete. That time, Richard Johnson tried to make a one-handed grab with his left hand. The problem is he has a very sore thumb on that left hand. And in fact, in practice yesterday, was wearing one glove. But today he's just got it taped up, as you can see, that left knuckle on that left thumb.
3 wide receivers lined up to the right, and Rodney Peete will call a timeout. So in this first quarter, each team has used up a timeout. Peete is not exactly 100% healthy himself. He's wearing a knee brace and has also had a groin pull. This is the healthiest he's been, however. Stockton and Dan Fouts back at the Silverdome. Crowd of about 45,000 here. Well below the 80,000 capacity. Waiting for the Lions to do some business. Come out second down and 10 on their 24-yard line. 3-0 Minnesota. Keith Millard jumped. I don't believe he was drawn offside.
Encroachment. Defense.
Well, he's one of the quickest guys off the ball in the league, and sometimes he guesses wrong. I think he guessed wrong there.
Well, you know, he must be disturbed. He hasn't had a sack, and we have 6 minutes to go in the first quarter. He leads the league.
He had 4 last time they played these fellas, plus an interception for a long return that Barry Sanders made a tackle on.
Second down and 5.
Millard.
Rodney Peete completes the pass. Walter Stanley, who's been the best Lion receiver, and that should be good enough for a Detroit first down. Darrell Smith made the stop.
Well, let's check out Keith Millard. Here he is, number 75. And when you are leading the league in sacks, you often get double teamed, and the Lions are going to make sure they get 2 people on him, although Barry Sanders has to do a better job of protecting the quarterback than he did that time on Keith Millard. Delafour passed him off, and Sanders has to finish him off.
First down for the Lions on their 38-yard line. Just under 6 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Barry Sanders looking for an opening. Nearly had one. Scott Studwell on the tackle and a gain of a couple. Sanders, who's going to be used a lot as a receiver, says he'd rather run, which is no surprise, and really getting into the swing of things here in Detroit.
Well, we see that he'd rather run than block, that's for sure. The job he did on Millard there. But you notice how Studwell made the grab just pulling on his jersey there. There was some accusations the last time these two teams met about maybe Sanders having silicone on his pants and on his jersey, made him more slippery. That's just pure talent.
Second down and 5. Rodney Peete in trouble. Chased out of bounds that time by Mike Merriweather. And a loss back to the 42-yard line. It'll be third down.
Yeah, Merriweather is the first missing link of this year for the Vikings. When they acquired him from the Pittsburgh Steelers, they said, now, this is the missing link. This is the guy that'll bring us to the Super Bowl. Little did he know, and the Viking fans know, that Herschel Walker is really the missing link. But maybe, just maybe, the Vikings have put it all together now.
Well, they needed a link on both sides of the fence. Third down and 6, 3 wide receivers to the left. Rodney Peete had his man, and it was incomplete. Keith McDonald was the intended receiver. And now for a scoring update, let's go back to New York and check in with Brent Musburger. Brent?
Well, Dick, there are a lot of folks that thought that Washington would win easily at home. Tampa Bay making its first appearance there ever. And look at this, a blocked punt. And Reynolds scoops it up. He scored on an interception a week ago, and Ricky Reynolds puts the Bucs ahead. Back to Dick.
A lot of wind knocked out of the Redskins' sails with the loss to New York last week, and Tampa Bay bouncing back from their loss to the Lions. Jim Arnold will punt for Detroit. Leo Lewis is back for the Vikings. And it'll be down right there by Ray Crockett. 4:47 remaining in the first quarter. A defensive battle thus far.
The week was Rodney Peete.
We're at the Pontiac Silverdome outside of Detroit, about 20 miles away. Dick Stockton and Dan Fouts. 4:47 remaining in the first quarter, and the Minnesota Vikings have a 3-0 lead over the Detroit Lions. Herschel Walker now the focus of the Minnesota offense.
Yeah, and we'll see him line up in the tailback formation in the I, and this will be a change for the Vikings as far as their philosophy.
2 tight ends. Walker gets a good hold. Here he comes. And Herschel Walker powers his way into Lion territory. Benny Blades finally brings him down, but not before Herschel picks up 35 yards.
So what we talked about, Herschel Walker in the I formation, hitting the line of scrimmage at full speed. Watch this hole on the left side. Jordan is out blocking on Jamison. It's an influence block. He lets him go for Dozier. And this is where all that speed comes from. If William White didn't have the angle on Herschel, he'd been gone.
Gain of 35. He gained 47 on one play last week. First down. Rick Fenny picks up nearly 4 yards on the play. Chris Spielman makes the stop.
Rick Fenny going out, Alfred Anderson coming in. The two almost identical twins in the Viking backfield. Bob Schnelker feels that there's no drop-off when either guy's in the game. They both block extremely well, and now they've got a real talent to block for.
Out of the I formation again. Second down and 6 on the Lion 40. Here's Walker. And the Lions stop him cold. A loss of a yard. George Jamison and Chris Spielman strung it out nicely.
Well, that run he had before might have woken up this Detroit defense, because Jamison that time really played off the block from Anderson and made Walker hesitate where the pursuit could catch up to him.
You mentioned he's always liked the I formation, including his beginning of his pro career with the New Jersey Generals of the USFL. 4 wide receivers right to the bottom is Anthony Carter on 3rd and 7. Pressure on Kramer. Rick Fenny out of the backfield as a first down for Minnesota. Eric Williams makes the tackle, and a gain of 17 yards, and the Vikings are threatening.
This is Michael Koper, number 55. You watch him come in on Kramer. He's unblocked the whole way, but Tommy knows this. He's got his eyes on him the whole way. Benny should have bumped him just a little bit, but he's out into the screen, and he's underway for a big gain again for the Vikings. This is an impressive drive for Minnesota.
Rick Fenny can block, and we saw he can catch. First down inside the 25 for the Vikings. Here's Herschel Walker, and he's not going to get away this time. He'll lose a yard or more. Terry Taylor was the first to reach him, and then Jimmy Williams helped the cornerback on the tackle.
I don't think the Vikings are going to have a lot of success running the ball up the middle against the middle of the Detroit Lion defense. It's almost like in baseball where you have to have strong defense up the middle. Your pitcher, your shortstop, second baseman, catcher, and center fielder. Well, in football, it's your nose guard, it's your strong safety, and it's your middle linebacker. In this case, they've got 3 outstanding players there. Jerry Ball, Spielman at middle linebacker, and Benny Blades at strong safety.
Second down and 10. Call it no gain. Kramer swings it out to Herschel Walker again. Same result, no gain. Benny Blades was right in the middle with Jameson.
We'll watch Kramer now dump this ball off to Herschel, maybe just a little bit too soon. Number 83 is Jordan working in the middle, never really given a chance to get into his pattern. And because the Lions were in such a soft, conservative zone, they had a lot of bodies out there waiting for Herschel on the swing pass.
Woody Wittenhoffer is the defensive coordinator for a Lion defense that has allowed only 1 touchdown in the last 8 quarters. 3rd and 11. Kramer has Dozier, and an open field tackle by Benny Blades will bring up 4th down. And the clock will run out. Rich Carlos will come on to try a field goal, but he'll be going the other way when we come back. And that is the end of the first quarter here at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, with the score: the Vikings 3 and the Lions nothing.
Toyota's quality line of cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me.
Back here at Pontiac, Michigan, in the Silverdome, where the Minnesota Vikings lead 3-0 over the Detroit Lions. It's 4th down and 8, and Rich Carlos will try to give the Vikings a 6-point lead. Carlos was good from 40 yards out the last time, and will try another 40-yarder with Bucky Scribner holding. Getting a lot of his confidence back, and it's 6-0 now in favor of Minnesota. I want to remind you that college football action next Saturday resumes when Alabama travels to Penn State to face the Nittany Lions. Big win for the Tide yesterday.
Yeah, that Gary Hollingsworth, their quarterback for the Tide, he looks pretty good out there. 32 completions yesterday. And the thing that I like about him is he's got some real poise there. Stands up in that pocket real well. Doesn't look like one of those Alabama quarterbacks. He looks like, you know, maybe that guy named Namath, huh?
Something like that. Penn State has won 5 in a row. They didn't play yesterday. Blair Thomas had a big game against Syracuse a couple of weeks ago. So next Saturday on CBS Sports at 2:30 Eastern, Alabama, Penn State.
You know, Joe Paterno was going to make sure he got an extra week off there to prepare for the Tide.
That's something Jimmy Johnson couldn't do when he came to the NFL.
You got to play every week, Jimmy. No buys in this league.
Carlos will kick off for the Vikings. And again, Barry Sanders goes deep.
Carlos has tried to kick away from Sanders both times. He's only been successful doing it once.
Carl Painter is on the left, Walter Stanley to the right. Sanders will down it for a touchback. And the Lions will start from their 20, which will be their best starting position so far in this game.
Well, that was a wonderful kickoff by Carlos. He had a lot of hang time, and he also put it about 4 yards deep in the end zone. Good decision from Barry Sanders not bringing that one out.
Interesting game thus far in the fact that the Lions have put the clamps on the Vikings when they've had to, despite a couple of good drives by Minnesota.
Well, that's one thing that Wayne Fonte said yesterday, is he wants to see if the Vikings can drive 80 yards and score touchdowns. So far, they haven't been able to do that.
Barry Sanders, the running back. Merriweather wraps him up for no gain. Ball was stripped away, but the whistle had blown, and so Dolman's going to have to bring it back. The Detroit offense, which spreads out the sideline, is very effective for running plays, and that's why their average gain per carry has been impressive.
And teams come in playing the Lions, and you would think because they come in with 4 wide receivers and a very mobile quarterback that they would be worried about the pass, but that's not the way it's been this year. Defensive teams say, hey, number 1, we got to stop number 20, Barry Sanders, and then we'll worry about Pete and those wide receivers.
Who has been ailing, gets a sack, the second of the game for Minnesota. The third of the game.
Okay, Henry Thomas is number 97, and this is just his 4th sack of the year. Now, that's a lot for a lot of guys, but when you put it up in comparison to some of the other guys on that defensive line, it pales in comparison. But Henry Thomas is a real solid player, and because you have stars on that defensive line like Dolman and Millard, Thomas is single blocked most of the day. That time he won the battle.
Vikings have 3 sacks, none yet by Millard. Third down and 18. On the draw play, Barry Sanders loses the ball, and the Vikings recover. Chris Dolman. Now he can squeeze it.
Take a look and see who pops this ball loose from Sanders. It appeared that he was on his way to a nice game here, and the ball was just left behind. And it appeared that he just ran into the back of Harvey Salem, and the ball just fell on the turf, and Dolman was there for the recovery.
Merriweather had his arms around him, and Dolman with the recovery. Now look how Minnesota has done. They've scored following 9 of 13 of their opponent's turnovers this year. They have the ball on the Lions 17. Herschel Walker fights his way to the 10 and is not found.
There's a fumble, but the Vikings got it. Anthony Carter came in on it. This would have been a big play for the Lions if they could have recovered this one, but Walker fumbles the ball forward as he's hit right there by Spielman's right hand, and there's Anthony Carter. Johnny on the spot.
Second down and 2. Now Walker goes in motion. Benny gets close to first down yardage. He had to get to the 7-yard line for the first down. It is a first down for Minnesota. Now it's 9 consecutive quarters that the Lions have not scored. But that mark is in jeopardy right now. 2 tight end alignment for the Vikings. First and goal at the 6. Alfred Anderson picks up a yard, a little more. William White coming in from his free safety position, and it's 2nd and goal.
Interesting play selection from Bob Schnelker. The last 2 plays, Herschel Walker fumbles on the first play after the turnover, and then he doesn't see the ball the next 2 plays. 2 straight dives to the fullback, first to Finney and then to Anderson. Didn't get much.
By the way, if Kramer were not to be effective today, the Vikings would use Wade Wilson, who's had a fractured knuckle in his left hand. He's all right and well enough to play if Kramer doesn't do the job. So far, he's done it. Kramer looking to throw. Hassan Jones, the intended receiver. Pass was too high, covered by Terry Taylor.
Wonderful coverage for the Lions defensive backs, but you got to worry about the time that Kramer had to look over the field that time. No pressure at all on him as he could survey the entire corner of the end zone where the Vikings had 3 receivers.
It would be hard in some view to say this may be a big play early in the 2nd quarter, but it is, because if the Lions can stop the Vikings from getting a touchdown, 9-0 doesn't look all that bad, considering. 4 wide receivers. Inside handoff to Finney, and he stopped short of the goal line at the 1. And it was Eric Williams who made the big play.
Take a look at this draw play to Finney from Kramer, and he comes up just a little bit shy. He's got his head down and his momentum going forward, but somebody in the middle of that line made a nice play to stop him right around the ankles.
It is 4th down, and Bob Schnelker will go for the touchdown. It is 4th and goal at the 1. 3 tight ends, including David Huffman as a tackle eligible. 4 tight ends, in fact. Herschel Walker gets in for the score. And his first touchdown in the Minnesota uniform.
You just had to know Herschel was going to get this ball on the straight blast play. Watch how he fakes going up high as the Lions linebackers, Jones and Spielman, were anticipating a leap, and he stayed low, took the low road, and he got to the end zone before you. Good job of that offensive line, too. Look at the penetration there. Not much for the Lions.
So now Carlos with Scribner holding, looking to add the 13th point. And he does. So finally, the Lions give up a touchdown after 9 quarters. And it's 13-0 now in favor of the Vikings. Walker making his presence felt again in his 2nd game in a Viking uniform. Scored a touchdown, 47 yards. Minnesota has had a couple of good drives, 2 Carlos field goals, and it's 13-0. And you wonder what Detroit's going to have to do to get back. They have not had any kind of offense thus far.
Well, you don't have to worry about them going to a speed-up offense or going with 4 wide receivers. They do that all the time. The big play, though, they cannot afford any more turnovers the rest of this day. That fumble by Barry Sanders put the Vikings in just great shape, and they went in for the easy touchdown.
And the first touchdown, of course, allowed by the Detroit Lions in 9 quarters. Can't allow too many more, but the Vikings right now with a 13-0 lead. Barry Sanders goes deep. Rich Carlos to kick off. Deep into the end zone, and that'll be down by Sanders for a touchback. And the Lions will bring it out to the 20-yard line. Washington, with the benefit of a safety, coming back against Tampa Bay. Green Bay cutting the Miami lead. Buffalo over the Jets. That was a big win by Buffalo against the Rams Monday.
They seem to have got it going now, even without Jim Kelly.
AFC scores. Big one in Philadelphia between the Raiders and the Eagles. Kansas City leading winless Dallas. First down at the 20 for the Lions, who have yet to get into Viking territory. Rodney Peete, Richard Johnson puts on the burners, and he's pushed out of bounds. Actually stepped out at the 39-yard line with a gain of 19. Audrey McMillan made the push.
Johnson Johnson is number 84 in motion here, and he's going to run a simple flat pattern. Nice move there against McMillan, number 26, and he's down the sidelines. He should have better field awareness here, though. He steps out of bounds before contact is made. You've got to get as much yards as possible and have the defense force you out of bounds.
Nonetheless, it's the biggest gain of the game for the Lions. They're up to their own 39-yard line with nearly 5 minutes gone by in the second quarter. It's all been Minnesota to this point. Rodney Peete drills it. And the pass is caught by Walter Stanley. It'll be another first down. See if there's a late hit there. Darrell Smith made the defensive play and a gain that time of 13.
Well, there was a late hit there. You saw it. 45,000 people saw it, but the two men that count, these guys in the striped shirts, don't quite see it. This is excellent protection for Peete, the best of the day so far. He gets the ball out here to Stanley. The referees are looking to where to mark this ball out of bounds, and they don't see that takedown.
Doug Martin, the veteran who is coming back this game after knee surgery last December, has replaced Al Noga, defensive end for the Vikings. At the top of your picture, first down, Lions. And the pass again to Walter Stanley. He got it, held onto it, and a completion inside the 34. Darrell Smith with a tough hit and another gain of 13 yards.
Well, this is 3 straight completions for Rodney Peete, and he appears to be gaining confidence. You saw earlier in the game he was just missing his receivers. Now he looks a little bit cooler. He's getting into a nice rhythm.
Walter Stanley, who's the best of a group that could be improved upon, according to Wayne Fonts. You've got to have good receivers to make the stretch offense work.
Well, what Stanley is he's a veteran of the National Football League. A lot of these other guys came from that USFL deal, and this guy's been around. He knows his Vikings very well.
Barry Sanders hit immediately and will lose yardage. Henry Thomas and Keith Millard welcomed him.
Now, one play that we haven't seen from the Lions yet today is their little screen pass that was so effective the first time these two teams played. That good pressure there against Sanders and stopping him for a loss, I would expect to see a screen real soon.
Viking defense coming in number 1 in the NFL. Second down and 12 for the Lions. They're on the Vikings 36. Their first foray into Minnesota territory today. One of the worst-looking draw plays because the Vikings got into the backfield in a hurry thanks to Henry Thomas. And another Lion loss back to the 41, 4 yards.
Well, we talked about how solid this fellow Henry Thomas is. Let's check him out here as he is in the backfield beating Kevin Glover right now. And he almost took the handoff from Peete instead of Barry Sanders. Wow.
Sanders is saying it was never like this at Oklahoma State. Lloyd Peters, the defensive coordinator of the Vikings. Extra defensive backs for the Vikes on 3rd and 16. Rodney Peete. And Richard Johnson is unable to hold on to it. And that'll bring up 4th down.
Well, this is something that Wayne Fonts has seen too much of this year, his wide receivers dropping passes. Questionable whether Johnson would have been able to pick up the first down, but it would have at least maybe put Eddie Murray into field goal range. As it is, Arnold's on for a punt.
Back is Leo Lewis. High kick and sailing into the end zone for a touchback. A 40-yard kick by Jim Arnold. He and Murray have been around for ages for the Lions, doing a good job at that. Timeout here at the Silverdome. Minnesota 13, Detroit nothing. 8:06 remaining in the second quarter. Dick Stockton and Dan Fouts here in a Central Division battle. Vikings have the ball first down on their 20. A mix-up. And Kramer is Sacked for the first time, Eric Williams and Kevin Brooks, the defensive ends.
Well, we talked with Herschel Walker about how much of the offense he felt comfortable with. He said he felt pretty much 100% comfortable with the run offense. That time, he either missed an audible at the line of scrimmage, or he went obviously the wrong way. This is a problem that the Vikings have to overcome. Although a player may say he knows all the offense, whether he does it on the field or not is another matter.
Second down. Kramer swings it out to Walker. And a good tackle that time by George Jamison. And Walker is down at the 23-yard line. Will bring up 3rd and long.
You saw Spielman also in on that tackle, and he had an interesting comment about Herschel Walker. He says, yeah, I've seen him on television, and I've seen him do great things, but I've never played against him. He's never done any of those great things against me or any team I've played on. He's got to prove to me that he's a great player. That's Chris Spielman's mindset.
Yeah, his comes from the school of let's just line up and see who's better.
Let's tee it up.
3rd down and 7. Anthony Carter to the bottom of your picture. But this pass is in the hands of Leo Lewis. And the Vikings have a first down beyond the 40-yard line. Crockett and White make the stop, but a gain of 19 to Lewis.
Lewis gets wide open on a little crossing pattern here. And the Vikings recognize the man-to-man coverage there, and Kramer goes to the right guy as Lewis just beat Crockett badly.
3 catches for 32 yards. And a touchdown this season coming in. First down, Minnesota. And here's Carter. Anthony Carter loses his helmet, holds onto the ball, and a gain of 16 into Lion territory. William White makes the stop on that slant-in pattern again.
Well, we had a question about Carter going over the middle and catching a high pass. Well, this is his answer. Yes, sir, I'm going to catch this ball. Reaches up, makes a nice grab. But one thing he's got to do is he's got to tighten the lug nuts on his helmet. It's flying off of there too easily.
That's his first catch of the game.
Yeah, see, he's checking those lug nuts there.
At the 42 of the Lions. Herschel Walker had no room outside, went inside, and didn't meet with much success there. And a gain of about a yard, met by Chris Spielman and Eric Williams.
Boy, the Vikings are playing with a lot of confidence now. They're running the ball effectively. Kramer is reading the defense, going to the proper man. His offensive line is really setting the tempo. Nobody's gotten close to Kramer yet in the pocket.
Curtis Green has come in for the Lions as a defensive end. He's a good pass rusher. 2nd down and 8. Minnesota. And Kramer didn't see it. A blindside sack by the outside linebacker, George Jamison, and a loss of 8 yards.
Yeah, no, we talked about Herschel Walker. This is Jamison here. Herschel Walker's out of the picture, but he's got to block this man here as he comes on the blitz. You see Herschel go right by him there, looking back, and Kramer pays for it. Again, he says he's comfortable with the offense, but we've seen 2 plays now where he's made mistakes that may have cost the Vikings. That one could have hurt Kramer severely, but he looks in good shape.
First sack of the game by the Lions. Kramer getting pressure again. Dumps it off to Alfred Anderson. But Benny Blades won't let him get away. And he makes the tackle, bringing up 4th down and long.
Very conservative call from the Vikings that time. A screen pass on 3rd and about 15. Very difficult for a fellow like Alfred Anderson to pick up the first down.
Bucky Scribner, who had come under a lot of heat for the Vikings for his punting last week, answered with an average of over 50. Will kick for the first time. Walter Stanley goes back deep for the Lions. goes to the far side and goes out of bounds. A fine kick by Scribner. It is out of bounds at about the 6-yard line. A 40-yard kick. And for the first time today, the Minnesota Vikings failed to score on a possession. And Pontiac, and a great kick by Scribner. They've been having problems.
Well, you know, we talked about Merriweather and Walker being the missing links, but the kicking game may be the missing link for this ball club. You've got to have solid running and field goal kicking. Today they're getting it.
First down for the Lions, backed up on their 6-yard line. Sanders looking for room. He's got some. And a gain of 20 yards for Barry Sanders. No good, McMillan.
Now this is just what the doctor ordered for the Lions coming off their goal line here. Watch Andolsek and Dallafleur out in front. Dallafleur played in San Diego with me, and we called him the Diesel. This gives you an idea why. Big, slow guy, but he's out in front of Barry Sanders there for a big game. Nice job, Diesel.
Diesel Dallafleur. And Speedy Sanders.
Yeah.
First down on the 27 of the Lions. Again, Sanders. And great hustle by Darrell Smith, and a fumble. Penalty marker down, and Joey Browner runs it in. But let's wait. A penalty marker was thrown at about the 25-yard line.
And I think they grabbed his face mask before the fumble. And this will come back. Big break for the Lions.
Big one, yep. Pat Haggerty. That's the call, Dan.
Okay, watch the Lions here. They're going to run a little counter play here and get Sanders out wide. Little jab step. This is a counter gap you see a lot of teams running. The two guards are out in front, Dallafleur and Andolsek. But here's the face mask penalty from Darrell Smith, excuse me.
That's twice the Vikings have run balls into the end zone thinking they had scored.
Face mask, defense, 15-yard penalty.
Now Loga, and now Jerry Burns pleading their case, but not much to it.
They may be pleading for a lesser a penalty, a lesser sentence here, maybe a 5-yard penalty instead of 15, but it's going to be a 15-yarder. And this, again, is a real big play for the Lions. It gets them up to midfield.
Face mask, defense, first down. 15-yard penalty.
Well, the Vikings have dominated this game with some good drives and tough defense. The Lions have only shown some flashes of an attack. They have the ball on their own 43, first down. Rodney Peete on the run. He was going for Walter Stanley. It'll be second down.
Get a feeling from Rodney Peete watching his reaction after that play that he's not quite where he wants to be. Had a bit of a slow start last week against Tampa Bay. Turned it all on and got it all going together at the right time, though, for that winning drive. But just right now, he's feeling a little bit of pressure. It's tough playing against the top defense in the NFL.
Ask Eric Hipple. 2 weeks ago, he was really under fire.
Yes, he was.
Second down and 10. Pitches out to Sanders. Sanders barely gets into Viking territory. They're short of a first down by about 3 yards. Stop is made by Darrell Smith, and the 2-minute warning has arrived. So opportunity for Wayne Fox and his offensive team to talk about a big third down play coming up with 2 minutes to go in the half.
Keith Millard here. He's going to take an inside route as Peete is running the option play here. And he almost gets Peete in the backfield with his right hand. But now, as you see, Peete breaks free there. He pitched this ball to Barry Sanders too soon. On the option play, you're not supposed to pitch it until you're attacked by the defense. Perhaps if they carried the ball down the field a little bit farther, we might have had what might look like a rugby play.
3rd down and 3 at midfield for the Lions with 2 minutes to go in the first half. Pete and Richard Johnson makes the catch just past the sticks for a first down. Carl Lee on the stop. Johnson has dropped a few this season and today, but he made a tough catch right there, Dave.
Okay, we talked about Millard. Now he's playing over the center, Kevin Glover here, and getting double team from Eric Andelsek as you see the pass to Richard Johnson for the first down, but it's going to be tough for Millard all day long.
On the 45 of the Vikings, first down. Pete going deep. It was intended for Robert Clark, and defending was Reggie Rutland. And that'll bring up second down, and we got a glimpse of the zip of the throwing arm of Rodney Pete on that pass.
Well, I've never felt that he had any arm strength problem. He throws with wonderful mechanics, and that's the key. He has a good delivery. The ball, as you said, has a lot of zip on it. He's a very fluid quarterback in the pocket. I never saw that bad rap against him.
Lloyd Peters, by the way, in talking about Pete, says he's like an extra halfback in the backfield. We haven't seen Rodney run yet. We almost did on that previous play. Second down. Pete, wide open. Johnson, and he may have the first down. Mike Merriweather and Mark Dusbavic making the tackle. It is a first down as the clock continues to run.
Good job by Johnson, getting the ball in his hands and getting that first down.
This is the deepest penetration for Detroit today. And Rodney Pete will run. Catching up to him was Dusbavic. Made a good play, and now the Lions will call a timeout. That will leave them with 1 timeout remaining here in the first half. 44 seconds to go. Wayne Fonts has just seen his defensive team on the field, looking to get something going before the end of this game.
Well, the really important thing now for Rodney Pete as he comes over to talk to Mouse Davis there in the white sweater and Wayne Fonts is, hey, listen, let's come away with this with at least 3 points. Let's not take a sack and push Eddie Murray out of field goal range. Okay, that said, this is what play we're going to run. These are your reads.
Lions did get close to field goal range earlier in one of their possessions, but then they were knocked back on a couple of downs, and Murray never got a chance to try a field goal.
Floyd Peters trying to get the signals out to his defensive group there. I think what he's saying is, get Rodney Pete, tackle him.
I want to know why he's wearing dark glasses in here at the Silverdome. Jason Phillips is in wide receiver, number 24. On 2nd and 9, Pete. And Robert Clark makes the reception just outside the 15. 17-yard gain, and the clock continues to run. Reggie Rutland made the stop. And now a timeout is called. The Lions have used their last timeout of the first half. They are at the 17-yard line of the Vikings, trailing 13-0, and no more timeouts.
One thing that Rodney will learn as a quarterback in this league is after you have a long pass reception with the clock running, it's very difficult to get all your guys back on the line of scrimmage and call a play to kill the clock with an incomplete pass. Go ahead and use that last timeout. We're now in field goal range. We can throw a couple of balls in the end zone for the touchdown, but at least we're going to come out of it with points. The most important thing here is not the clock now, it's points, and the Lions are in good shape. But that was great coverage by Reggie Rutland as Pete just barely got the ball in to Robert Clark.
Well, Pete has his instructions. Got a first down.
You wonder who he'll go to, and talking to him yesterday, he says he has the most confidence in Robert Clark, and you saw with that catch why Robert Clark has the confidence.
first down. Pete has Clark. There's your guy. Out of bounds at the 5. And it'll be, I believe, another first down. Reggie Rutland on the stop. It'll be first and goal.
Well, you'll notice what Rodney Pete is doing. He's drifting on his little sprint out to the right. That's forcing the underneath coverage to go that way. You see number 39 there, Carl Lee, was faked by Pete to the middle of the field. That opened up the throwing lane to the outside to Robert Clark in a big play.
You said he was his favorite, and he went to him twice on this drive. First and goal at the 5. Pete will run it. And he flipped it into the end zone, and I'm not sure if he went past the line of scrimmage when he threw the ball.
Well, he was definitely over the line of scrimmage, and now comes the flag. None of the officials saw it at the time, but they're calling the penalty right now. I've never seen anything like that before.
I thought he was going to run in, and I thought he had room at least to get to the 1 or 2.
Well, he saw one of those old USC Trojans, Joey Browner, staring him in the face. This is a very unusual call. It was clearly that he was over the line of scrimmage when he dumps the ball. The line of scrimmage is the 5-yard line, but there are no officials near the 5-yard line to make the call as the penalty happens. There's the 5-yard line. He's clearly over it, but you don't see any penalty until a good 30 or 40 seconds later.
You know, you're right. Browner was there, but the worst Browner could have done to him was knock him out of bounds at the 2-yard line.
Or broke his shoulder.
Well, that is worse. The Vikings want a timeout. It looked like Jerry Burns was signaling for one. So Minnesota will use its second timeout of the first half in a very bizarre final 30 seconds with 14 remaining. 14 ticks of the clock. It'll be second down and goal, and the ball now back to the 8.
The advantage that Rodney Pete has in this offense is one of the most difficult segments of a game for a quarterback to learn is the hurry-up offense. Well, with this run and shoot, it's a hurry-up offense all the time. And what you're seeing this week now at the end of this first half, and last week when Pete took his ball club down to beat Tampa Bay, you're seeing Rodney Pete's development as a quarterback.
And of course, people say that the run and shoot gets less effective as you get closer to the goal line.
Well, it does, because the defense has less field lengthwise to cover. They can put more people in more zones and crowd that field. But Rodney Pete, as we said, is like another halfback in that backfield. He has the ability to run the ball, but also to buy a lot of time as he's out there looking for a receiver.
Second and goal at the 8-yard line. No timeouts left for Detroit. Pete fires, knocked down, and a flag is down as well. Richard Johnson was hit by Carl Lee at the goal line.
Pass interference, number 39 in the end zone.
Big break for Detroit.
Well, Rodney Pete has all day in the world to throw this pass, and you'll see he could have run it, but there are a lot of Vikings standing on that goal line. And we'll take a look at this from the end zone to see as Carl Lee comes over the top a little bit too soon and breaks up that pass.
First and goal at the 1 with 8 seconds remaining in the first half. Pete loses the ball. I believe the Vikings have it. Mike Merriweather recovers for Minnesota. And the Vikings have held against Detroit's thrust right here.
Well, you talked about how the Silver Stretch offense has trouble down here. 1 yard away from an end zone, and they're not going to run the ball. They're going to try and throw it. Merriweather comes on the blitz and makes the big play for the Vikings. But you've got Barry Sanders in the backfield there. You would think that they'd find some way of getting him the ball and letting him run it in for the touchdown. Perhaps they're feeling, though, that with only 8 seconds to go when they snap the ball, that if they throw one, if it's incomplete, they'd line up and kick the field goal. As it is, they get nothing.
The Lions lead the league in turnovers inside the 20, and the first half is over, and Wayne Fonts is a distressed head coach. That is the end of the first half with the score. The Vikings 13 and the Lions nothing.
Conventional new spirit of Dodge. Norelco lift and cut shavers we made close, comfortable. And by Diet Coke, just for the taste of it, with 100% NutraSweet.
Herschel Walker is something. If they get to the Super Bowl, like Irv says, it's going to be worth it. Let's check some of the other games around the league. The Washington Redskins moments ago put a touchdown on the board on a pass by Mark Rippon. We'll show it to you. It is 12-7. The Redskins lead. It was a special team of the Bucs, Irv.
Big play by the special teams here, blocking a punt. Ricky Reynolds picks this one right off the kicker's foot, picks it up and rambles 33 yards for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And right away, Brent, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers set the tone of this game. Aggressive football.
And Dexter Melee coming through with a sack in the end zone of Vinny Testaverde for the safety. Now, Mark Rippon has been sacked only 6 times this year, but each of the 6 times he has fumbled, like right there. But then moments ago, he was able to come back for the Skins, and he finds Clark open by moving his pocket more or less to the right. Actually, he moved it all alone, rolling out over there. Hit him, and the extra point is good, and now the Skins lead it 12-7. All right, Minnesota and Detroit. This is the one you're watching. All Vikings so far, 13-0 over the Lions. Now, let's take a close look at this play, and I'll ask her whether or not he thinks this is not a dirty hit by Chris Thielman. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but Anthony Carter appears to be down on the second hit, and Ohio State met up with Michigan again, and that helmet went rolling. Herschel Walker took charge, 35 yards, number 34 goes. That set up a field goal. Barry Sanders fumbled, and Herschel took it in from the 1-yard line for the touchdown. What about the hit by Spielman, Irv?
I thought it was clean, Brent. Spielman was simply following the play, came across and hit him. There wasn't any penalty called. You know, no problem.
All right, now Green Bay and Miami, and the Packers staying close. It is 10-6. The Dolphins and Dan Marino, and in the win, Marino throwing this touchdown pass to Jim Jensen. And that wind is gusting at 15 to 20 miles an hour. You remember Elijah Pitts with the Green Bay Packers? Here's his son, Ron Pitts, with his interception, going 37 yards to the Dolphin 42-yard line, and the Packers hanging tough in that one. AFC now. Buffalo leading the Jets. They've held the Jets to 1 first down. Cincinnati, 3 field goals. They lead the Colts 9-3. Houston, 2 Warren Moon touchdown passes in that game. Raiders in Philadelphia, absolutely no offense in that one. Dallas and Kansas City, some big plays in this game, 24-14. Watch Paul Palmer. Kevin Porter gets greedy. Number 27 tried to strip him of the ball instead of going for the tackle. And Palmer is loose for 63 yards. What about Christian Okoye?
Boy, a real big power back inside. Palmer used to be the property of the Kansas City Chiefs. He's happy to have scored against his old team. Christian Okoye takes the ball this time from Kansas City and rambles up the middle for a 13-yard touchdown. This guy's quite a load, Brent.
And James Dixon with a fabulous return.
Dixon is a Houston Cougar. We were talking about them earlier today. The fact that his college team almost scored 100 points last night. Well, James Dixon puts on the speed here, goes 97 yards for the Cowboys. And boy, I tell you, Dallas looks like a much improved football team.
And we get word that Christian Okoye has sprained an ankle, not serious, expected to return. And we'll continue after these messages. One step further.
In the NFL, a team can only go as far as its quarterback can take it. And this year's crop of field generals is among the finest ever assembled. While each shines in his own special way, we wonder what it would be like if we could create the perfect quarterback. The Robo QB. Since it's a passing game, we'll start with a strong arm, Dan Marino's. Playing like a man with a porpoise, Dolphin Dan dazzles defenders with deadly downfield darts with the quickest release since Joe Namath. Even colleagues can see that Marino is a top gun in the league.
I think if you wanted to go with an accurate arm, you'd like a guy like Marino.
Well, Randall, don't be too jealous. The good news is that the rest of the fellows covet your legs. And why not? If they could run like you can, they wouldn't have to hide. In fact, when it comes to daring feat, you win head over heels.
Probably Randall Cunningham's legs and head. I'd use my own head. I'd want to look like myself.
Well, we could call it Kramer versus Kramer, but hey, sorry, Tommy. Our cerebral selection is Joe Montana. He can beat you every which way, on the ground and in the air. Down the stretch, the proof is in the pudding. In this case, the rice pudding. Yes, sir, the thinking man's quarterback.
I think the one thing that helps you is being able to quick release, but more importantly probably in that is being able to make the read quick and know where you're going with the ball.
But there's more to Robo QB than mere brains and brawn. Phil Simms would provide the heart. Time after time, Simms takes a licking but keeps on flicking. He has made a career of being down but not out, and his opponents have certainly gotten their fill of his game-winning heroics. We'll let Simms be our designated gut checker. In this game, you've got to have heart, and we'll take Simms. Then there are the intangibles. Some say John Elway is close to being a Robo QB, but poise is what sets him apart. Even when he's improvising, he has the presence of mind to direct his blockers downfield, and he can calculate on the run the best path to pay dirt. The other intangible is leadership. We'll give the nod to Boomer Esiason. When the Bengal southpaw takes control, his teammates snap into line. But every quarterback needs a context in which to operate. Detroit's silver stretch is an offense conceived of mouths and men. And then there are those who prefer to run and shoot on their own.
I'm not going to take any parts from anybody. I mean, if you're going to build a one all-time quarterback, I don't know. That's hard to say, but I just have to concentrate on myself right now.
Irv, who's your best of all time? Best head?
Well, you know, there have been great quarterbacks in the National Football League. We all know that. But I would take Noam Van Brocken for the all-time best head in pro football.
Yeah, you couldn't go wrong with him. And right now, let's send you back to the stadium in a game you're watching here on CBS.
Back here at the Silverdome, where the Minnesota Vikings lead the Lions 13-0, and CBS Sports coverage of NFL football will continue after this message and a word. Vikings spinning the shutout 13-0 at halftime. Lions have had their opportunity. Talk about Rodney Peete and Barry Sanders, Dan Fouts, two great rookies. Sanders' fumble caused a Viking touchdown, and Pete's fumble prevented a Lion touchdown there in a weird first-half finish.
Well, that's really what Dwayne Fonts wanted to cut out, is the turnovers. And the Vikings have always been famous for it, but really on this first play,
football will continue after this message and a word. Vikings spinning the shutout 13-0 at halftime. Lions have had their opportunity. Talk about Rodney Peete and Barry Sanders, Dan Fouts, two great rookies. Sanders' fumble caused a Viking touchdown, and Pete's fumble prevented a Lion touchdown there in a weird first-half finish.
well, that's really what Dwayne Fonts wanted to cut out, is the turnovers. And the Vikings have always been famous for it, but really on this first play, Barry Sanders has the ball knocked out of his hand by his offensive tackle, Harvey Salem, right there, and the ball's left behind for the Vikings to recover.
And the only touchdown in the game was Herschel Walker's score. He rushed for 49 yards on 8 carries.
Well, you see the difference. This is conventional short yardage goal line offense, and the Vikings go right over the top very easily from 1 yard out for the touchdown. But on the other hand, you have the Lions who come down to the 1 yard line, and they have a fumble at the very last play.
8 seconds to go, and here's what happened to Rodney Peete.
Well, Mike Merriweather, number 57, comes from the blind side, and Peete maybe should have kept on his way on his rollout to the outside there, but somewhere along the line, the Lions have got to make a concession to traditional football and get a tight end and get a fullback and go with a short yardage offense. You cannot afford not to score from 1 yard out.
And, you know, if the Vikings had gotten touchdowns instead of field goals, they would have had this game blown out by now. They deserve a lot of credit thus far. Their defense has been really alert. Looking at halftime statistics, Lions have the edge in passing yardage, not rushing yardage, and the turnovers very critical in the game. The Vikings also have 3 quarterback sacks. 13-0 the score. Ed Murray will kick off for the Lions to start the second half. Rich Carlos has 2 field goals, both from 40 yards out. Walker with the lone touchdown. Keep in mind as we get set to start this third quarter and the Vikings receive, that the Vikings have outscored their opponents 23-0 in the third quarter this season. Alfred Anderson will be the middleman for Minnesota to receive. There he is. And we're underway. And it's taken there by Travis Curtis. And Curtis is stopped prior to getting to the 30-yard line. Tommy Kramer coming out, 10 of 14 for 83 yards. He did not have an interception in the first half by either team.
Very disciplined performance from Tommy Kramer so far, reading the defense, seeing that he can't get anything deep. You remember the very first play of the game, he tried to throw the bomb to Hassan Jones, and the Lions were there for the coverage. So he's taken what the defense has given him so far.
Two tight ends for Minnesota, Carter wide to the left. On the 28. Herschel Walker. Maybe a yard as the Lions are handling his running laterally along the line. Jerry Ball and Chris Spielman on that play.
Take a look at Jerry Ball, number 93, and Chris Spielman, number 54. Ball is probably the best nose guard in football right now, and Spielman is off of the comments that his linebacker coach made and comparing him to Jack Lambert is playing good football.
Second down and 8 at the 30. Again, it's Herschel Walker. Penalty marker down. Walker carries a few Lions in the first down yardage, but there's a penalty, and it'll go against the Vikings. We'll have a holding penalty. Haven't had many of these today.
Holding, number 76. Offense, still second down.
Tim Irwin, the right tackle.
Working against Eric Williams, the left defensive end for the Detroit Lions. Here we are. We're going to take a look at it. Top of the screen, number 76 is Tim Irwin. And one thing, when you got a guy like Herschel Walker, you've got to hold your blocks. Well, you're not supposed to hold your man, though.
Just hold your blocks.
Yeah. Never could quite understand what that meant.
This is about as healthy as the Viking offensive line has been all season. Walker appreciated their efforts for sure last week.
This is the best offensive line Herschel Walker's ever played with.
Second down and 18. Herschel Walker wide to the left. Tommy Kramer runs for his life. Jerry Ball chases him out of bounds at the 20. Bring up third and long.
Pretty good speed from the 34-year-old quarterback. Jerry Ball working against Kirk Loudermilk right in the middle. And Loudermilk does a nice job of preventing him from getting in the backfield. But this is what sets Ball apart, is his speed for a 300-pounder. Look at him chase Kramer out of bounds.
He's given his team a lot of leadership on the defensive side. Third down and 18. Kramer with time. Alfred Anderson on the reception. Bottled up at the 30-yard line, well short of a first down. And the Vikings will have to kick. Jamison and Holmes. Bucky Scribner in the boot.
Lions came close to blocking one of Scribner's punts 2 weeks ago.
Walter Stanley ready to return. They protected him well that time as the kick sails out of bounds. And they'll mark it at the 37-yard line. Lions will take over a 32-yard kick by Bucky Scribner. And with 12:43 to go in the third quarter, we'll take a timeout. Now the Lions struggled offensively in the first half. They never really had good field position, but those two fumbles hurt them badly. Now they are starting with their best starting position on their own 37, trailing 13-0 early here in the third.
And that last statistic was a 12-play drive that went 93 yards. They needed just one more yard for a touchdown, but they had the fumble. Big turnover for the Vikings, who really, as a defensive team, seem to make turnovers.
Why they're number one in that area. Rodney Peete throwing deep on first down, and it's intercepted by Joey Browner.
is why the Vikings are running this defense. You notice they have 4 defensive linemen there. Then they have 2 linebackers and then 4 cornerbacks. And then there's Joey Browner, and his job is to play center field, watch the quarterback. Look how deep he's playing. This is him right on the right side of the screen, number 47. He sees Pete coming over to the top of the screen here, makes the interception. Big play again for the Vikings.
Vikings first down right at midfield. Tommy Kramer wide open for the completion is Steve Jordan, his first catch of the game, and a gain of 27 yards. He was complaining that he wasn't getting the ball enough. This is only his 9th catch.
Well, the Vikings are trying to nail the coffin shut with this pass right here. Big play after a turnover. Watch George Jamison, though, really level Tommy Kramer from the backside. And we'll check the catch out here from Jordan, number 83, in the zone. Wonderful throw from Kramer, getting it over the linebacker's hands.
First down on the Lion 23. Herschel Walker nearly went all the way and is upended at the 7-yard line by William White. A gain of 15, and now they're a runaway express train, the Vikings.
Well, they really are. Again, it's Herschel Walker in the I formation, right up the gut behind his fullback, Rick Finney. There's a beautiful hole there, and he is off to the races. Nice job also from Randall McDaniel working on Spielman.
First and goal at the 7. Double tight end for Minnesota. Here's Walker. And he is stopped by Eric Williams for about no gain. Second and goal.
We mentioned earlier how it seems the Vikings are playing with such confidence. Well, they literally look like a Super Bowl team. A lot of talk about them now finally having all the pieces together. Well, they are playing with great confidence.
Walker has gained 67 yards, more than the entire Lion team, which means Barry Sanders in essence. Second and goal at the 7. Walker gets to about the 4, and it'll be third down and goal. Spielman gets up from the bottom of that pile.
Now, if there's any chink in the armor for the Viking offense, it's their offense in this area on the field. They have struggled so far this year, and even going back a couple of years, they've had trouble scoring points when they get inside the 10-yard line. Scoring touchdowns, that is.
Bob Stelker signaling in the offense, wants a timeout. The Vikings will call a timeout here.
And that's another symptom of a ball club that struggles down here. They came in with different personnel, 4 wide receivers, and it took them a little bit too long, and Schnelker wasn't sure if he had the right play called or not.
Interesting that we're seeing a lot more of 3 and 4 wide receivers in goal line situations now.
Well, this is a long way to go. 3.5 yards, 4 yards for a touchdown against anybody. But the Detroit Lions' strength on defense is that front line. They are very good against the rush. Although you probably couldn't convince Herschel Walker of that so far the afternoon he's had so far.
Vikings lead it 13-0. Trying to take advantage of an interception. Inside the 20, they have scored 12 touchdowns and 6 field goals in 23 possessions up to this point. Took advantage of a Sanders fumble to score, and now trying to score following an interception by Joey Browner. Hey, one thing about Wayne Fonts has a scowl now, but it's been an upbeat team, and he is an upbeat guy. The team did not indicate a 1-5 record.
Oh, they really didn't. We talked to them yesterday, and the atmosphere, especially coming off the win against Tampa Bay, was very positive, and all the players give the credit to Wayne Fonts.
Third and goal. The ball is at the 4-yard line. 2 wide receivers. Now they send Walker left. Alfred Anderson will get in for the touchdown. They send Walker wide left, and Anderson scores. And the Vikings now lead it 19-0.
Well, Herschel Walker is a decoy here, probably the most expensive decoy in all of football. You see Jerry Holmes had to go out with the coverage on him, and he really took the focus and the attention of the Lions defense with him as Anderson gets the handoff, and he shows great power getting in for the 6.
Got to pass out the sugar. Rich Carlos with the conversion, with Scribner holding, and it's 20-0 in favor of Minnesota. Anderson's second touchdown rushing. 14 points off 3 Detroit turnovers. Nick Stockton and Dan Fouts back at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, where the Vikings have opened up a 20-0 lead over the Lions. Rich Carlos, who has kicked a pair of field goals, will set the kickoff now. In the middle is Barry Sanders. You got Walter Stanley on the right and Carl Painter lined up on the left. Heading over to Painter, a yard in the end zone. Tripped up at the 13-yard line by Mark Disbabic. Want to remind you, next Saturday it'll be Alabama against Penn State. Alabama is 6-0, and Penn State has won 5 in a row.
Penn State also got the week off last week, while Alabama had an outstanding day against Tennessee.
2:30 Eastern next week. CFA football. First down on the 13. Jump, let's see if he was drawn. Harvey Salem, the right tackle, might have made a move. And apparently that'll be the case.
Ball start, number 73.
Yeah, it really seems unfair because Noga was clearly offsides to begin with, but he hadn't made contact with Salem. Salem, just with a reflex action, popped up out of his stance. He gets called for the false start.
Amazing how bad the Lions have had starting drives. Their best starting drive was on the last possession, and Rodney Peete threw an interception.
Now first and 15.
So it'll be first down and 15 on the 8-yard line.
Noga's probably the most improved Viking this year, really matured in the offseason. A lot of help from his brother, Nico, who plays for the Lions.
Rodney Peete in trouble. Fires, completes to Keith McDonald. And a first down to the 32. A gain of 24. Darrell Smith on the stop. And Joey Browner is shaken up. And meanwhile, there's an injured Viking as well on the field besides Browner. And it'll be Darrell Smith, the man who made the hit on Keith McDonald. We saw some good pressure for the first time today from Keith Millard, and Pete had to run for his life.
Well, and that's what he does probably better than anything else, is escape that rush and then get his head upfield and pick out receivers there. Here's Pete on the run, and he sees McDonald wide open, and we'll see the collision here. And Browner gets his knee rolled up on by Scott Studwell. And that could be very serious. Although Browner is up and walking around, that knee has got to be a little bit sore.
Darrell Smith is also all right, although he needs a little more help than Browner does.
This changes what the Vikings want to do with their defense, because Darrell Smith is one of those 4 cornerbacks that they were playing the 4 wide receivers of the Lions with.
They have Darrell Fullington, number 29, who is coming into the game to replace Darrell Smith for the Vikings.
And it'll be interesting to see how long Browner can last, because that was almost a serious knee injury to him.
But the pass to McDonald got the Lions out of trouble, and they have a first down now on their own 32. Barry Sanders finds moves by Sanders, picks up nearly 10 yards. Scott Studwell on the tackle. I don't think he's carried the ball as much as you would expect in that offense today.
Well, I would think that he's going to see it quite a bit now, though, because you've got to go with the old bread and butter guys, as they say, and he definitely is the biggest threat that the Lions have on their offense.
Second down and 1 at the 42. Again, Sanders, and he still didn't make it. It'll be third down. Still needing that yard for the first. Al Noga amongst the Vikings in on the play.
This is what we talked about as far as the Lions, some point along the line making a concession to the traditional way you play football in short yardage and goal line situations. This is Ken Dalafor down on the ground here, and he's had a rough day going against all those great defensive linemen for the Vikings.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned the Lions don't have the conventional short yardage offense, and that means they don't have a tight end, but they have a tight end coach. You know?
The great Charlie Sanders, who played here for the Lions for so many years, is the tight end coach. And, you know, who you coach when you got nobody to coach?
We were down on the field before the game, and Charlie Sanders was standing around all by himself, no one to talk to, except some coaching friends. And he's a good guy to have around because he can help the receivers. He was one of the best the Lions have ever had from any position.
Yeah, he contributes in his own way. He's up in the booth looking at the Vikings defense and seeing what coverages they're playing.
Dalafor will leave the game, and Joe Malinchek will replace him. Ken Clark is also in the lineup for the Vikings. Third and 1 for the Lions. Rodney Peete and Ray Berry nearly had the easiest interception of his life. Right in his hands, and he dropped it. And it'll be fourth down, and the crowd boos for the first time today.
This is what Rodney Peete is looking at, the 3 wide receivers here, and his first choice is probably number 84, Richard Johnson, but he was covered by the zone safety there. He went up the field, but the Vikings seem to be reading his mind back there. Fourth down.
The Lions will call a timeout, and you wonder, down 20-0, whether they may contemplate, even though they're on their own 42, maybe going for it on 4th and 1. I guess that would be the only reason for the timeout.
You have nothing to lose when you're 1 and 5 and you're down 20-0. How about a quarterback sneak?
But Rodney Peete, it probably wouldn't be a sneak. Jim Arnold came onto the field and then has gone off, so they're going to gamble, quote unquote, on 4th and 1 on their own 42. One thing we haven't seen today is Rodney Peete sprinting out and running as a threat. Here they go, 4th and 1 for the Lions in their own territory. Quarterback sneak, and he's got the first down. And the crowd booing a moment ago cheers now.
We're going to watch Rodney Peete take this sneak right off of Kevin Glover's back here, right between Glover and Dalafor, number 57, and he gets plenty for the first down.
7 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Rodney Peete, a rookie, going against the top defense in the NFL, learning some lessons today. First down on the 43. Rodney Peete will run, and he gets tripped up by Henry Thomas. Otherwise, Peete might have picked up additional yardage. As it is, he gets to the 46. It'll be second down and about 7.
That really was a nice play by Henry Thomas, or, as you said, Dick, Rodney Peete was in the secondary, and he still had Barry Sanders trailing him for a possible pitch down the field.
Thomas goes out. He has been bothered by a shoulder and knee, and Ken Clark, who's been around for 13 years in the league, replaces him. Second Daryl Smith was there for the play, breaking it up.
And that was the first play that Daryl Smith had come back in the game after being shaken up a little bit. They had Darrell Fullington, who's a safety, out there wide going against Walter Stanley, but the Lions play selection never took advantage of that mismatch.
Meanwhile, the report about Thomas is that he was bothered with another shoulder injury. So he's still out. They're taking a look at it. 3rd down and 7 for the Lions on their 46. There's Stanley. And he can't get away. Gets to midfield, and Daryl Smith grabs a hold and doesn't let go. And it'll be 4th and 3 now. No problem here. Fonts will kick it away as Jim Arnold comes in. What about this decision?
Well, I'm not so sure it's a good decision, but he does have an excellent punter who may pin the Vikings back deep in their own territory.
Leo Lewis calls for the fair catch at the 15. 35-yard kick. Well, in all fairness, it's a difference between 4th and 1 and 4th and 3.
About 2 yards.
Something like that. Welcome back to the Pontiac Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, where the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings in a Central Division battle, and the Vikings coming in tied for first lead the Lions 20-0 with 5:11 to go in the 3rd quarter. Minnesota's ball on their 16. Screen to Hassan Jones, and a loss on the play. Terry Taylor was right there to make the play.
One thing we're going to see now is the Lions' defensive philosophy change a little bit here. Instead of playing a zone, they're going to have to come up and be more aggressive, play more man coverage. At that time, they were in the bare front, the 46, and they were blitzing.
What might the Vikings do in response to that?
Well, they're going to have to go up top, and you saw the quick pass to Jones that time. Maybe they'll fake that and go over the top with one.
They've got Carter and Jones wide to the left on 2nd and 11. Back to the 15. Herschel Walker on the pitch. Spielman beats him head on. And that's the 10th tackle of the game for Chris Spielman.
And boy, he's paying for every one of those 10. Big gash over his left eye. He's going to have to get to the corner and get his cut man working on that one.
I hope he answers the bell.
You know, he's going to tell him, hey, don't brush it off. I want it to show. He won't touch it. He won't let anybody touch it. Well, maybe a doctor.
4 wide receivers now for the Vikings on 3rd down and 8. The Spielman has repairs done. Tommy Kramer completes to Gustafson. And he's got more than enough for the 1st down. Ray Crockett makes the tackle and a pickup of 22 yards for the Vikings. As Kramer exercises that shoulder a bit after that throw.
This is the same type of play we saw earlier with Gustafson in motion, going down the field, faking a crossing pattern, and then cutting back to the outside. Good pass protection to begin with for Kramer, and there's Gustafson working against Ray Crockett, and he's given the rookie from Baylor quite a few lessons here. We'll check out Kramer later.
Kramer is connected on 7 in a row, and it's a 1st down on the Viking 40. Kramer going deep. Carter, and it's well out of bounds. Terry Taylor was covering on the play.
Good job by Kramer, just throwing it away, letting the ball sail out of bounds as Terry Taylor was well deep in his zone. So quiet in here, you could almost hear Tommy calling the plays from the huddle.
2nd down and 10 on the 40. Pressure, and down he goes. sacked from the nose tackle position, and that's the third sack of the game for the Lions. A loss that time of 5.
We talked about Jerry Ball becoming a leader on this team and how he is now being regarded around the league as the best. He was drafted in the 3rd round, felt he should have been a #1 pick, but now he's proven to everybody that maybe he was right.
Well, the man he's going up against, Kirk Loudermilk, the center, is a guy who's gotten Ball's Pro Bowl vote every year. So he has a lot of respect for his opposite number today. 3rd and 15, inside handoff, Herschel Walker. And Walker gets 10 of those 15 yards back, but it's not enough. Jerry Holmes on the stop, 4th down, and Scribner will come in to kick for the Vikings. There's Spielman, showing the wares of the war out. Walter Stanley goes deep for the Lions. Scribner's 3rd kick coming up. Heading out of bounds. And let's see where they'll mark it. At about the 23. A 33-yard kick by Scribner. There's Chris Spielman. Lions will get it back with 1:23 to go in the quarter. Next Sunday on CBS Sports, NFL coverage continues with the NFL Today at 12:30 Eastern Time. Most of the nation will see the LA Rams. The only loss of the year came last Monday against the Chicago Bears, a big one. Some of you will see the Lions against the Packers. And the second half of the doubleheader, the Philadelphia Eagles against the Denver Broncos, Randall Cunningham and John Elway. That's next Sunday on CBS Sports. Lions start from their 23-yard line. 1st down, trailing 20-0. Here's Barry Sanders with blockers. And it takes Joey Browner to wrestle him down. The average starting field position has been the Lions' own 17, and Sanders is trying to get into a position to break one.
And he's frustrated. He's not used to not busting a big one. You know, he had that opening kickoff that was called back, but so far you saw the pursuit of the Vikings there. Studwell was over there first, and then Browner. You can't get 2 better guys to tackle you than those 2.
Defense has forced 3 turnovers, capitalizing twice. 2nd down and 5. There's an audible. Rodney Pete. Stanley. Got by Darrell Smith and then is brought down just short of the 40-yard line by Scott Studwell. A gain of 11 and a Lion 1st down.
Well, we heard Rodney Pete make an audible. This is the play he called. Now he just wants a quick out or a quick hitch pattern from Walter Stanley. What Stanley gives you after the catch is mobility. Watch as he jukes Darrell Smith there and picks up about 5 extra yards.
Good move by the former Packer as time runs out in the 3rd quarter. And that is the end of the 3rd quarter here at the Silverdome with the score. The Minnesota Vikings 20 and the Detroit Lions nothing. We now pause for a word. Start of the 4th quarter. The Lions with the ball with a 1st down on their 39-yard line. 20-0 Minnesota. Rodney Peele running. And pick up nearly 9. By the way, the Vikings have kept their record clean. They have still not given up any points in the 3rd quarter all season.
Well, that's the good news. The bad news is that in the 4th quarter, they've been outscored 48-7. Now, if we want to carry it any further, the 4 Detroit Lions have been outscored in the 4th quarter, something like 24-40. So I don't know what it all means. All I know is it's 20-0 now, and the Lions have got to get a score soon.
Well, they got 8 that time. 2nd down and 2 on their own 47. Pressure on Pete. Down he goes. That time they sent the linebackers and Scott Studwell. the play.
Well, this is Studwell, and he's going to come on the blitz here, and Rodney Peete has got to be able to recognize this and either dump it to a hot receiver or throw the ball away. But he never sees Studwell coming until it's too late.
He's the elder statesman at age 34, but when we talked to him yesterday, it looked like he was only 24.
In super shape, and here's a guy that's still having fun playing the game. That's how you play the game for a long time. It's got to be fun.
3rd down and 6. They lost 4 that time. Another audible call by Peete, and the 30-second clock runs out on him. Delay of the game, 5 yards.
Now, Rodney Peete is taking a beating physically in this game. He's been knocked down a few times, sacked a couple of times. Now Floyd Peters and these Vikings are playing with his mind. They're trying to beat him up mentally. Changing defenses, forcing the audibles, changing. Peters even having to call 2 or 3 audibles on each play. You've seen him change it a couple of times.
You get the feeling that Floyd Peters didn't empty his bucket in the first half against Rodney Peete with his defensive tricks.
He's got 11 buckets out there.
Now it's 3rd and 11. Going up top. Just past the outstretched arms of Keith McDonald. And that'll bring up 4th down.
Probably the biggest deficiency on this football team, and where they need the talent the most, is in the wide receiver position. The Lions do not have the personnel yet to make this offense successful. Top priority in the draft coming up to find some wide receivers.
Jim Arnold will kick for the 5th time, and Leo Lewis ready to return. Run out of bounds. Where some players are caught up in the action. Keith Karpinski and James Griffin on the stop. So the score remains 20-0, and the Vikings go on offense once more.
Number 49 on the receiving team, post possession.
That'll be Travis Curtis, so they'll move back a bit. 2 minutes gone by in this 4th quarter. Rich Carlos with a couple of field goals. Herschel Walker scored from a yard out, and Alfred Anderson went 4 yards up the middle. That's been the scoring in this one.
And although the Lions defense is much improved in the last couple of weeks, one thing they haven't been able to do all year is create turnovers. They only have 2 interceptions on the entire year.
We'll be back to the Silverdome after these messages. Watch shows 83 yards and 1 touchdown, but the Vikings have 2 touchdowns off of the turnovers today. 20-0 to score with 13 minutes to go, and it looks like the Lions not nearly up to what the Vikings, despite their enthusiasm during the week.
Well, they were very confident coming into this ball game, but the Lions are really getting a lesson from the class of the league perhaps right now with the addition of Herschel Walker. The Vikings coming off last week's win that Jerry Burns called the best win he's had as a head coach, as the Vikings head coach, and this game right here is right up there with that performance.
Vikings are playing like they want to have at least a share of the lead again this week. Herschel Walker. Couple of yards for Herschel Walker.
And Herschel's been busy this week. His wife is in town trying to buy a new house up there in the Minnesota area.
First time, actually, he told us that he went anywhere other than the practice field in the hotel.
Well, he wasn't quite sure of exactly where everything was there in Minnesota, but it's a tough transition for anybody. But a guy like Herschel's been used to turmoil in his life, and he's dealing with it.
Second down and 10. Pass to Fenny. Ridden out of bounds by James Griffin. You know, he has had a whirlwind kind of existence, you're right, you know, when he was with New Jersey or the Dallas Cowboys, and now he had an incredible week where he had to learn the offense, first the running and now the passing this week, and of course everyone has been talking about his dog, right? I mean,
well, his dog's name is Al Capone, and he's worried about Al because Al is still back there in Dallas. I guess he's having trouble transporting the dog across state lines.
Also, the dog was a little upset with the deal
at first. Well, the dog can't be sitting there reading the papers and listening to the media.
He's trained him right. 3rd down and 9. Handoff. Kramer. Must have been a fake to Fenny. Griffin made the stop, and nearly a fumble on the play.
Well, this is that draw play to Fenny, and what happens is he leaves too soon, and poor Tommy is just stuck with the ball. Here, number 31 is Fenny. He's going to get this draw play, or he's supposed to, but he leaves a little bit too soon. Tommy, because of the high snap, pulls it down. Now watch him get stuck by 1, 2, 3 Lions, and then down to the turf. He's going to be talking to Fenny on the sideline.
Bucky Scribner will kick it away, and Walter Stanley is deep for the Lions. Stanley, and it takes a big Minnesota hop. Inside the 30. A 50-yard kick. One of those things where you sometimes you guess wrong. Minnesota still pitching the shutout with 11:18 to go. Vikings making some changes in their defensive line. Al Noga and Chris Dolman remain as the ends. Ken Clark and Thomas Struthers are the tackles. We've seen Doug Martin in there as well today with his return to the lineup. Rodney Peete on 1st down. Bounces in front of Walter Stanley. Incomplete.
Lions are going to go with their hurry-up offense, not go back into a huddle, which is a good move here with 11 minutes to go. Although the clock is stopped because it was an incomplete pass.
Lion wide receivers. Here's the call of the line. Clark, Johnson, McDonald, and Stanley. This pass knocked down by Smith. The intended receiver was Walter Stanley.
Yeah, Darrell Smith is the guy the Lions are going after. He was defensive back coach Pete Carroll's biggest concern coming into this game because he is the 4th best cornerback on this football team. He's had an outstanding day.
Floyd Peters had a very interesting comment yesterday. He said these receivers have come from different places. They don't really know how to wait for the ball, or they have to wait for the ball. They don't have the moves down so set.
Well, the timing isn't quite there. This is a timing offense where the ball has to be in the air sometimes before the receiver makes their break.
Keith Millard back in there for Minnesota. Flip pass to Sanders. He had the 1st down and then went out of bounds before he hit the sticks. Smith and McMillan on the play, and all he had to do is move forward a little.
Watch as these two receivers come down here and pick. Sanders is going to come out of the backfield here, and then the crucial rookie mistake where he does not go for the 1st down, rather he gets out of bounds. He's got to just lower his head there and try to split those two defenders and get that 1st down. The chain markers were right there in front of his face.
4th down, and the Lions will have no choice. Rodney Peete on a quarterback sneak. Lions have a 1st down. 10:49 remaining in the 4th quarter. 20-0 in favor of the Vikings.
And that was one of the lowest quarterback sneaks you'll ever see. Rodney Peete got right down there with the worms, the plastic worms.
There's the audible again by Rodney Peete. Dolman might have moved. Vikings have it. If the penalty is against Detroit, Al Noga picked it up, but it was Chris Dolman who forced the fumble.
Offside, defense number 56.
Dolman jumped off sides, and that'll give the ball back to Detroit.
Well, you notice that Pete is calling the plays at the line of scrimmage. Dolman is now finding his rhythm, trying to guess with him. He also saw Millard was very close to being offside there as well. That's a veteran defensive line getting a feel for the quarterback's cadence.
They lead the league in sacks. Millard with 12, Dolman with 7. Vikings have 5 today. First and 5 now at the 44. To the 42, Scott Studwell on the stop. Pickup of 14.
And that's part of the timing of this offense. That was Pete's best throw. He got back 4 or 5 steps and just let it go in the seam pass. McDonald was there. Big play for the Lions.
On first down, Pete intercepted by Mike Merriweather. Laterals to Browner, but the whistle is blown. Viking ball, and in the first meeting 2 weeks ago between these teams, Merriweather returned a Hipple interception for a touchdown.
Well, Mike Merriweather is the best outside linebackers the Vikings have had since Matt Blair. He is number 57, and he's just dropping back into his zones and just checking out Rodney Pete's eyes. Comes up with a big play.
Fumble recovery and an interception today for Mike Merriweather. Well, the fans and 51,579 showed up today. Many of them making their way to the exits.
Oh, they're just going for hot dogs, aren't they?
Something like that. Wade Wilson is the new quarterback for the Vikings. Rick Fenny carries to the 46 where Victor Jones makes the stop. So Tommy Kramer leaves with the Vikings leading 20-0. And gives way to Wilson, who's coming back from a fractured knuckle in his left hand. There's Kramer.
Really a good performance by Tommy Kramer today. 15 out of 20, just missed on 5. The Lions played a lot of zone defense. He was very patient with what he wanted to do. And he played very, very well.
No Minnesota turnovers with 8:57 remaining in the fourth quarter. Second down and 6. The pitch is to Herschel Walker with Anderson blocking. And Kevin Brooks rides him out of bounds. Gain of maybe a yard.
This game now becomes for Bob Schnelker and the offense of the Vikings almost like a practice session where they're so far ahead, they're in such control, they can use a lot of different personnel. That time Novoselsky was in there as a double tight end. Now they can work on Herschel, make sure he knows all the offense. He's giving a new quarterback time to play. So the Vikings are really benefiting from this big score.
Third down and 4. 4 wide receivers. Here comes the safety blitz. Benny Blades was on the move. Wilson got rid of it, and it'll be 4th down. Carter was the intended receiver.
Check out the blitz here from Benny Blades. He's number 36 right here, and he's going to come on the safety blitz and welcome Wade Wilson back to the NFL. Good clean hit.
Bucky Scribner in to kick it away. Back deep is Walter Stanley. Goes into the end zone for a touchback. 52 yards that time for Bucky Scribner. Well, coming up after our game here at the Pontiac Silverdome, NFL Today, the post-game show. Brendan Irv with scores and highlights. Plus interviews with some of the athletes who are making the headlines today. We Rodney Peete going deep for Johnson. And he'll be the beneficiary of another pass interference call by Carl Lee. Against Carl Lee, I should say. That's his second of the game.
Real good job by Richard Johnson, seeing that the ball was underthrown, stopping and trying to get Lee out of his way so he can make this grab.
Defensive pass interference, number 39, first down.
Lee had no idea where the ball was, and Johnson did.
45 yards because of that penalty, and the Lions find themselves on the Viking 35.
We talked about how the Schnelker and the offense are making changes. Well, Boyd Peters has gone to a three-man defensive line now and added an extra defensive back.
Dolman, Inoga, and Thomas Struthers. On the delay, here's Sanders. Penalty marker down. We may have a hold, Rodney Peete. And the Lions will be called for a holding penalty, nullifying, wiping out that 11-yard pickup. Rough day today for Wayne Fonts, who had his team on a high after the win last week.
Holding, number 53, offense.
Kevin Glover, the center.
Well, and Pat Haggerty, the referee, called it, so he must have seen it. What he saw was that Glover reached out and pulled his man towards him to open the hole for Barry Sanders.
These are the updated scores. It'll be 1st and 15.
Which is interesting. Why wouldn't it be 1st and 20? Isn't that holding 10-yard penalty?
Was last time I looked. The fingertips of Barry Sanders, and now for an NFL Today update on the Washington-Tampa Bay game. Let's check in with him.
Hey, Dick, suddenly we've got a contest in RFK. 22 seconds apart, a turnover, and the Buccaneers are back within 8 points right now. 29-21. We'll keep you up to date on this one. Back to Dick.
All right, Brent. Right now, no contest here at the Silverdome. Vikings have been in control on both sides of the ball, 20-0. 7 minutes to go. It's second down and 15. Rodney Peete has Clark. And Robert Clark is pushed out of bounds inside the 10 by Joey Browner. A 31-yard gain, and the Lions threaten to get on the board here.
Again, it's an underthrown pass from Rodney Peete to the weak side here, to the left side of our screen. Robert Clark is aware of where the ball is, and Reggie Rutland isn't. Seems to be their best play is when he underthrows guys.
Clark is his favorite. He made that clear today. 1st and goal at the 9. McDonald, and he is down. Audrey McMillan makes the stop at the 8-yard line, pickup of 1. Told you at the top of the game that the Vikings had lost 4 straight road games. Their last win on the road was against these Lions last Thanksgiving Day here at the Silverdome, and they shut out the Lions 23-0.
And they've beaten them 6 straight, going on 7.
Right. 2nd and goal. Peete to the 5. Doesn't get in. Stopped at the 1. And it was Joey Browner and Scott Studwell. And the Vikings don't want to give up that touchdown. That's maybe what they're playing for right now.
Well, this is the option play. Peete is going to come down the line of scrimmage, and Sanders is going to follow him. Peete turns it up. Good decision there by Rodney Peete. Not enough meat and muscle to get in that end zone, though.
3rd and goal at the 1. Sanders looked like he slipped a bit as he got the ball, and Mike Merriweather had an easy tackle on him. And it's 4th down.
They cannot afford not to score here. This is will be twice now that they've been inside the 5 and come away with nothing. End of the first half really killed them.
They were on the 1-yard line with 8 seconds to go and couldn't get it in. 4th down and goal on the 1. Pete. Touchdown. Finally.
The Lions have scored 8 touchdowns, make it 9 now rushing, and quarterbacks now have scored 6 of those. This is the option play again, and Pete, outstanding effort to get in this end zone, and he really pays for it. He had the chance to pitch it back to Sanders, but nice play by Carl Lee forces Rodney to take it himself, and he gets in for the score.
He scored the TD to give them the win against the Buccaneers. Eddie Murray out to try to add the 7th point. And it's 20-7. So now the Lions with 5:07 to go still need 2 touchdowns to win this game. No one was giving them any kind of a chance a couple of minutes ago, and I don't know what kind of a chance they have now.
Well, what they have, though, is the perfect offense for this situation. They have driven the ball a couple of times very well. What they need to do is score from about the 20 or the 30-yard line instead of working it down in there where they have more trouble with this run-and-shoot offense. When they get inside the 5, very difficult for them to score. But if there's any team that's capable as far as their offensive scheme is concerned, it's the Lions.
And I guess it's important, Dan, for the Vikings not to get so comfortable like you talked about. Maybe it's a practice time, because the fact is that any team in the NFL can be trailing, you know, by 20-7 with this much time to go and win. In fact, you could score 3 touchdowns.
Well, we'll see what type of decision that Wayne Fonts makes here, whether to kick the onside kick now or kick it deep for the coverage and force the Vikings to drive a long way. One thing the Vikings are countering with, if they do kick it deep, it will be to Herschel Walker.
Which is your poison. There's Walker deep, and the Vikings bring up 9 people up front, all people who can handle the ball. Leo Lewis is the short man, and now they line up. In an unusual onside kick formation. I've never seen this.
Well, they're going to have a great deal of momentum going.
It's got to go 10 yards, and DJ Dozier is there. The ball didn't go 10, and Dozier has it on the Lion 43-yard line.
You're really looking for the rub of the green there in order to get that ball. It's got to bounce almost perfectly. A couple of hops and then one big one up in the air when all those fellas are rushing down underneath it. That time the ball never got that big hop, and Dozier made the easy recovery.
Vikings begin on the Lion 42. Wade Wilson, who relieved Tommy Kramer. Novoseski in motion. Herschel Walker dives to the 40. Pickup of 2, and the Vikings will be happy to use as much of that clock as they can from here on in.
And if I were the Lions, although they only have 2 timeouts left, I'd be using them right now.
Timeout Story, each team with 2. Bigger role, of course, with the Lions. Second down and 8. Wade Wilson has Hassan Jones, who fumbles, and let's see who recovers. The Lions have recovered. Benny Blades is on top of that ball, and they hope he's all right. That's the first turnover by the Vikings today, and Blades is slow getting up.
Hassan Jones is the man in motion here. He's going to come down and run a little hook pattern over the middle, and he's wide open now. He's struggling for extra yardage, and the ball gets bounced out of his hands. And now the Lions are fortunate they didn't give it back to the Vikings, not being able to get their hands on it. But Blades appears to come up with it and get shaken up, and he always seems to be around that loose ball.
And he's big enough to be a linebacker. He's built like Jeff Fuller. Safety who can play a linebacker spot. Now it looks like they may be taking a look. Why the delay? Would they be reviewing that?
I'm not sure what there is to review. Thank you, Pat.
They did look at it.
They're probably checking to see exactly where the ball was recovered, exactly what yard line to put it on.
4:18 to go, and the Lions trailing 20-7 have the ball back. In the grass, Ken Clark and Rodney Peete in the grass. That'll be the 6th sack. And right now, for an update, let's check in again with Brent.
Well, Dick, I want to tell you, the Green Bay Packers are one of the more dangerous teams in the 4th quarter this year. Mikowski steps away from the heat, gets a nice block, and throws to Sterling Sharp. Back to Dick.
Miami's been leading. So has Minnesota been. Now, after the sack, pass is complete. Walter Stanley, tackled by Darrell Smith.
Well, you would have hoped that Walter Stanley would have pivoted the other way towards the sidelines to get out of bounds, stop that clock.
There's the game clock on the right and the play clock on the left. It'll be 3rd down and 10 now for the Lions on their 35. Peete gone deep. And he overthrows McDonald. Covering on the play was Audrey McMillan.
Well, old McDonald had a touchdown there. If Peete didn't overthrow him, he was behind McMillan, and it would have been 6, a very big 6 for the Lions.
Lions have not been able to connect on any of those long pass attempts today. Most of the time, passes have been overthrown. Sometimes on the under patterns, they've been underthrown. It is 4th down and 10, and the Lions, at 3:20 to go, trying to get to midfield on 4th down. Rodney Peete gets hit, and Robert Clark makes the catch and runs out of bounds after the Lions pick up more than enough for the 1st down. And Peete hit a bit. 25-yard pickup on a wobbly duck that wound up in the hands of Clark.
Well, sometimes you just get lucky if you just keep trying. Here's the hit on Rodney Peete from Al Noga, number 99. And there's 2 people that are very surprised that this was a reception. One is Al Noga, the other is Rodney Peete. This ball just floats over the middle there, and there's number 82, Robert Clark. Look what I found, a dying quail.
Might have still been alive. 1st and 10 at the 41 of the Vikings. And they make no mistake that time as Thomas Struthers gets to Rodney Peete, and that is the 7th sack of the game for Minnesota, a loss of 5.
This is the same thing that happened to the Lions in the game 1, where they had a chance to get back in the ball game, but they had too much, they couldn't hold out the defensive line for the Vikings. Here's Struthers, a guy that you don't hear much about because he doesn't get to play, making the most of his opportunities.
2nd and 15. Stanley trying to handle the high toss, and Darrell Fullington is all over him with a good defensive play. The Vikings, 25 sacks in their 4 wins. Didn't get to the quarterback much in their 2 losses. And what did Floyd Peters say today about their sacks?
Well, he said that he would be very surprised if they got 8 or more sacks today. I'm thinking, you know, 8 sacks is a career to some ball clubs, and here he's talking, well, he was right on, very prophetic. They're right about there.
Lions would like numbers like that in the sacks department. 3rd down and 15. Peete through Stanley or Clark, that is, by a mile. No one near the ball, and it'll be 4th down again. Tear in Rodney Pete's jersey.
That was from Ken Clark's sack, where he just grabbed him by the jersey, but one hand wouldn't let him go.
37 attempts by Rodney Pete. The yardage will look good, but when you're throwing that many times, that's not a good sign. Except for a guy like you.
Well, thanks a lot.
4 for 4 on 4th down conversions today are the Lions. That was a compliment.
Oh.
Being chased by Struthers. And he lost the ball. And Al Noga recovers as Rodney Pete lost the handle. Tell you, that's a great sign. They know how much this rookie is going to mean to this team and how much he's working and trying. And there was Jimmy Williams hugging Rodney Pete there as the defense comes on the field.
Well, this young man has a lot of heart. The thing he does is so important here is he keeps the play alive with his scrambling ability. First he gets away from Struthers. And then he picks up a couple of blocks here, but he's always looking to make the play happen here. This is just rotten luck here. That's all it is. Going to throw the ball and have it just pop right out of his hand. Heartbroken.
He'll have better days, that's for sure. Vikings first down on the 49 of the Lions. Walker. Tell you, that Lion defense doesn't stop. Benny Blades drove him back as the clock is running down to the 2-minute warning. But first, the Lions will call a timeout. We'll leave them with 1.
Good job by Herschel Walker not running out of bounds and stopping the clock, forcing the Lions to use their second timeout in the second half.
Interesting how Minnesota's dominated this game. Lions get a touchdown and actually have had some opportunities. They recovered a fumble, and if they had some sort of a synchronization with their offense, they might have made this game a lot closer than it's been.
Well, I think that last play really epitomizes and capsulizes this entire game. They've not played well, but they have never given up. And that's what Wayne Fonts has instilled in this ball club, is that, listen, we're young, we're going to make mistakes, but listen, all I can ask for you is to try your hardest and don't give up. And you got to feel for a guy like Rodney Pete. This has been a very trying day for him, but he'll be back and he'll play well.
Second down and 11. In and out of the hands of Hassan Jones and nearly intercepted by Jimmy Williams. Well, let's look at the Vikings, because after today, 4 of their next 5 games are on the road, including games in Philadelphia, Green Bay, Tampa Bay is home, and the Giants, plus the 1 home game with the Rams.
Yeah, and then you go down a little bit further and you see that Chicago's waiting for them at home. So it's going to be tough for them, but they certainly appear to me to be playing like you'd like to see a team that's favored to go to the Super Bowl should be playing.
Well, they're going to win their 4th in a row here. And now it'll be up to the Bears who play the Browns Monday night to try to keep pace. Third down and 11. Wade Wilson on the screen to Alfred Anderson. And a Viking first down to the 38-yard line. William White makes the tackle, and the 2-minute warning has arrived. So with 2 minutes remaining here at the Silverdome, and the Vikings lead 20-7. We'll take the break.
That's silver for the Lions and Honolulu blue, the colors for the Lions. And of course, the Noga brothers are from Honolulu.
Makes sense to me. Al, of course, on the Vikings did not adorn his head in similar purple and gold colors.
And he has a full head of hair. He's a little bit different, you know. He's younger. He's playing a lot more.
Apparently, 1st and 10 for the Vikings. They're on the 38 of the Lions. Herschel Walker. Walker gets to the 35.
There's his brother Al on the sideline. You see the full head of hair there, but Very close. The thing that Nico helped Al with is the mental side of the game. Not to let yourself get down if you're not playing well. And Al had a very rough and rocky rookie year.
And they're both awfully strong. Huh?
Oh, look at that gun there. That's what the players like to call their guns. You probably, Dick, would call it a bicep. Although
I call it a thigh. The Lions have used up their last timeout. 1:55 showing on the clock in a 20-7 Viking game. Want to remind you that you should stick around because Brendan Irv will get you up to date with scores and highlights on our NFL Today postgame show, plus interviews with the stars. Second down and 7, Herschel Walker. Penalty marker down as Walker gets within a yard of first down territory. Chris Spielman making the stop for the Lions. Penalty will be against Minnesota. Before that play, Herschel Walker had gained 88 yards on 19 carries. Most of the fans have made their way to the exits here at the Silverdome, but when this club begins to gel, and they will because they've got a lot of young players, and as Dan said, improving that wide receiver core, they'll be back.
A real benefit in having a young quarterback with a lot of heart and a lot of talent.
Second down and 17 now for the Vikings. Walker. Lions are out of timeouts. George Jamison making the stop.
But they will get the ball back because it's only third down now, and it'll be close as far as the clock's concerned.
Well, for the rookies, Pete and Sanders, it has not been a shining day for them. Rodney Pete threw for a lot of yardage, but had his problems. And Sanders, who's sitting next to Pete right now, Sanders gained 59 yards rushing. We'll hear from those two, though. Third down and 16. Penny breaks a tackle. Another flag now. He'll have a first down pending the penalty call, and it appears to be holding against the Vikings. That may nullify that 18-yard gain, and it does. Crockett and White made the tackle.
Well, the Vikings are showing that they don't know quite how to end a blowout type of situation here.
Offense, still third down.
Each time you have a penalty, not only do you lose yardage, you stop that clock. And that's the last thing the Vikes want to have happen here.
Well, these clubs played 2 weeks ago, and the Vikings won 24-17. Little deceptive. Detroit did give them a fight, but there were 24 unanswered points in that game by the Vikings after they trailed by a touchdown.
Well, the turnovers have hurt the Lions in both games. The 2 interceptions for touchdowns in the first one, and then 14 points off of 3 turnovers in this one.
4 wide receivers on 3rd and 26, and they give it to Finney. Stopped just shy of midfield with under a minute to play. It'll be 4th down.
And there's a 1-second differential between the game clock and the play clock right now, so they will have to at least snap the ball one more time.
8 sacks today by the Minnesota Vikings. What's unusual is that Millard and Dolman don't have any. Plus 5 turnovers, and they capitalized on 2 of them. Bucky Scribner. So the clock runs out, and there's 1 second on the game clock. 5-yard delay of the game, and we'll have 1 more snap. As you said, that'll do it.
And this will be the obligatory quarterback kneel down. Always enjoyed this part of the game.
Did you ever have a problem when you kneel down and somebody came in a little bit?
No, I would always alert the fellas on the other side of the ball. Hey, listen, guys, you know, let me go on down, touch my knee on this ground, and then we can shake hands and go and hit the refreshments. You know what I mean?
Did they all say, okay, Dan?
You bet. They were so wit by that time. It didn't matter.
All right, that's it. Wade Wilson ends the game, and the Minnesota Vikings have won their 4th in a row, breaking a 4-game losing streak on the road. The final score, the Minnesota Vikings 20, the Detroit Lions 7. As the Vikings go to 5-2, and our post-game show is coming up next. We'll run down all the scores and highlights for you. So for Dan Fouts, Dick Stockton, here at the Silverdome as Minnesota wins the Central Division game.
Well, we have the possibility of an overtime in Miami. 48 seconds to go. Green Bay has hustled back to tie it all at 20. And again, we'll keep you up to date. But let's quickly take you through the scores now and show you where we stand at this point in the afternoon. Washington gave up 2 touchdowns 22 seconds apart. The Buccaneers had jumped back to within 8. But now the Skins have added a field goal, and it appears as though they are going to win a very important game for them. 32-21 is the count there. So Washington with the lead and holding on with time running down in RFK Stadium. Minnesota going to win another big one, 27, another big afternoon for Herschel Walker in that one. Also, this is the game we told you about, 20-20 now, with about 37 seconds to go. Don Shula and the Dolphins have the ball, trying to get something going, so Stoyanovich can attempt a field goal, which might be able to pull it out in the last few seconds. Tough wind that they are facing that game. The Jets and the Buffalo, the Jets were pathetic today, and the Bills dominated them. 34-3 was the final in that game. Indianapolis now in Cincinnati, and the Colts come up with an upset as the Bengals have lost for the 2nd straight time at home, 23-12. And Irv, we would have to say that the Colts could slide in now and become one of the tough teams in the AFC.
No doubt about that. But one of the biggest concerns, though, is the health of Eric Dickerson. And late in the game, he pulled a hamstring muscle, an old injury. He's aggravated once again, and there's a big question about whether or not he'll be ready to go next week.
All right, Pittsburgh and Houston. It is tough for the Steelers to win on the road, especially without Bubby Brister. The Oilers, meanwhile, difficult to deal with at home. 27-0, the Oilers lead there. Raiders in Philadelphia. This was scoreless at the half. In the second half, the Eagles outscored the Raiders 10-7, so Art Shell has suffered his first loss as the head coach of the Los Angeles Raiders. Dallas and Kansas City, it is 36-21. Now, let's send you down to James Brown and Ken Stabler in Miami. James?
Complete for the first down to the 30 of Green Bay. Mark Clayton. So take a look at Pete Stoyanovich. His longest field goal completed this year is 43 yards. Now, as a pro, he is 6 of 8 from 50 yards plus. And he's warming up on the sidelines.
Well, from right here, JB, from the 30-yard line with the 10 yards in the end zone, you spot the ball 7.5 yards from the snap, and you're looking at 47.5-yard field goal right here.
And again, keep in mind, a 12 to 15 mile per hour wind he will be kicking into.
He'll play to get closer to something safe.
Complete to Clayton. Inside the 20 for yet another first down by Miami.
Good safe short pass on the outside. Work the ball down in there to give your field goal kicker a shorter kick.
And Stoyanovich will attempt the winning field goal for Miami. .510 rookie out of Indiana. And it's good, a 33-yard field goal by Pete Stoyanovich.
All right, James, thank you. And so, Irv, we will wait for the final 6 seconds to tick off. The Packers will try to haul it back, and obviously we'll show you that video if anything happens there. Meanwhile, let me update another story, because just when we count them out, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have jumped back. They're down by 4. They have a little over a minute to work with. Now, for Vinny Testaverde, this is his 3rd touchdown pass of the 4th quarter, and he has kept them within striking distance. If nothing else, Irv, the Buccaneers are showing a little heart down there.
They're showing a lot of heart, but the key there, though, Brent, that was Darrell Green, the Washington Redskins' top defensive back, has been out in this 4th quarter with a knee injury, and they're picking on the guy replacing him.
How serious is the knee injury? Is there a chance that we're going to have surgery here?
Don't know yet, but we haven't gotten a final report, but he x-rayed his knee and his right wrist.
Okay. The Miami-Green Bay game. Irv, what is it about the Packers that they wait until the 4th quarter to come back?
Well, they're a team that doesn't believe they can be beaten. You know, you have a team like, it's not that they don't try in the first half, certainly like to start out fast in the ball game, but they really believe that as long as they continue to hustle and hang in there with the ball club, they have a chance to come from behind and win. And they're a very optimistic, positive, upbeat football team, and those are tough teams to beat.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to change the subject to another surprise in the league, and that's the fact that the Cincinnati Bengals, for the 2nd straight week, have lost a game at home. Indianapolis went in there. As Irv told you, Eric Dickerson was nicked up. He still scored a big touchdown for them down the stretch. 23-12 was the final in that game. Now, Irv, what about the Bengals and their inability suddenly to win at home? They were unbeaten down there last year.
Well, the key last year for them when they went to the Super Bowl is they were red hot. They started out 6-0, won almost all their games at home. When you came into that ballpark in Cincinnati, you knew you were going to have your hands full. But I don't know, why, they've slipped at home. I think a team's going there now feeling that they can get off to a good start, get that defense going, you can control that football team.
We can tell everybody that the wind just blew the ball off the tee with Stoyanovich attempting to kick it off down in Miami and kill the final 6 seconds, and obviously we're awaiting that audience to join us up here. So as we take a look at the AFC now, Irv, I know you are strongly behind the Minnesota Vikings. You think they're going to go all the way, but if I pushed you hard on the AFC, who would you give me?
Early on, I thought Buffalo would be the football team because I like defense. They're the teams that go to the championship and go into the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, win it with great defenses, great running games, and, of course, you have to have a solid quarterback. And I think the Buffalo Bills had all of that. They were a little shaky early in the season. They're beginning to put it together now. Kelly has to come back, though, for them to be in there. So I see Minnesota and Buffalo, the 2 teams in the Super Bowl.
All right. Well, they have just run it out down in Miami on the kickoff. Time runs out, and the Miami Dolphins have beaten the Green Bay Packers. The Packers tried an illegal kickoff return, a forward lateral, everything you can imagine. And the Dolphins are going to win this one, and they are going to beat Green Bay. 23-20 is the final in that game. So when you come back, we'll have that audience from Wisconsin join us, and we'll continue showing you more scores and highlights and some other action developing. Remember, the Washington Redskins could be in trouble. We'll be right back. We welcome those of you who watched the Miami Dolphins defeat the Green Bay Packers with 6 seconds left on that Stoyanovich field goal. And let me update the story out of Washington. Time has expired, and the Redskins hold off the Buccaneers. 32-28 is the final there. Vinny Testaverde with 3 touchdown passes in the 4th. These games now are underway. The Giants have kicked a field goal to take a lead. New Orleans strikes first on the Los Angeles Rams. San Francisco and New England playing at Stanford. They are scoreless. Seattle strikes first on Denver in Seattle. And Atlanta and Phoenix, they are scoreless in Arizona. So we come back. We'll show you some of the highlights from the early games here today on both the AFC and NFC. Herb, the folks down around Tampa have to be very pleased. The Buccaneers were a 7-point underdog. They battled back in the 4th quarter of this game and lost by only 4 points to the Washington Redskins, 32-28, and it turned out to be very exciting. Now, here's Mark Rippon going to Gary Clark for 10 yards. And then what about this interception of Testaverde?
Well, Todd Bowles is a safety man here for the Washington Redskins. Sits in the middle. You can see him coming to your screen now, making a great catch here on a low ball, picking the ball off for the Washington Redskins. But the problem here, though, Brent, was that Darrell Green was hurt on that play. They took him to the locker room. They looked at his knee and his left wrist.
Now then, they recovered the onside kick, and that set up the comeback, and they began to pick on Green's replacement, who didn't have enough experience, really, and Bruce Hill in for that touchdown. And finally, they make it 32-28 with 3 Testaverde 4th quarter touchdown passes. Minnesota and Detroit, Herschel Walker, 24 carries for 89 yards and 1 touchdown in that Viking win today. Green Bay and Miami, and of course Stoyanovich wins it with time running out on a Field goal toward the end, 23-20. That's the wind that they were talking about down there. Gusting. Danny Marino to Mark Clayton. This is a 24-yarder, and Miami led the Packers 17-6. I'll tell you, in the fourth quarter, the Packers have outscored their opponents 76-23. And Mikowski, very calmly, stepping away from the pressure, gets to Sterling Sharp, and Mikowski came right back, and then, of course, it was the winning field goal here by Stoyanovich. Irv, at the half, how many yards did Sterling Sharp receiving the ball?
Zip. He didn't have anything. He didn't become active until the second half. I'm sure they went and made adjustments, but, you know, you can never relax with that Green Bay team. They believe as long as there's a tick on the clock, they can come back.
You told me that all Frank Reich needed was a chance up in Buffalo, that he was a Hall of Fame quarterback, that he would come back in the last minute and a half against the Los Angeles Rams and then throw 3 touchdown passes against the New York Jets today. It was an unbelievable display. And it was 34-3 as the Bills win again. But meanwhile, Indianapolis not letting them get out of sight. The Colts go into Cincinnati and win a big one, 23-12. Now, Eric Dickerson, who was injured, and we do not think it is serious, he also scored on his 21-yard touchdown run. Does he ever lift his feet off the ground? I mean, he was hurt when he got into the end zone on that play.
He's been hurt all week. He's been hurt for a couple of weeks, though, Brent. He has a pulled hamstring problem. It's the kind of an injury that when you stress yourself, you continue to re-aggravate it, and he did it again on that play. All
right, let me run through some other scores for you now. Pittsburgh and Houston, tough for the Steelers, again without Bubby Brister on the road. 27-0 Oilers with a win there. Raiders in Philadelphia, defensive game, scoreless at the end of the half. 10-7 Eagles win. The Raiders miss a couple of field goals in the second half, and that really turned out to be costly. Dallas and Kansas City, and now you can ask yourself, will the Cowboys win a game all season long? It's about 3-1 that they go 0-16. Well, there is a big story, of course, continuing to develop out in San Francisco where that killer earthquake hit, and that is whether or not there will be a resumption of the World Series. There's about to be a news conference with the mayor of San Francisco, and let's check in live now with Pat O'Brien. Pat, what's the latest?
All right, Brent, we are at the St. Francis Hotel in downtown San Francisco. In about 40 minutes, the mayor of San Francisco, Art Agnos, and the commissioner of baseball, Fay Vincent, are joining together here at a 2 o'clock California time news conference. They're describing their announcement as an important announcement. Now, we don't know what they're going to say, but we can speculate. One, the talk that's going around, will they cancel the games? That seems very unlikely. 2, delay the games even further. Of course, they're set to go Tuesday. Delay the games further, or even delay the opening time of the game. Right now it's set at about 5 o'clock. Tomorrow, San Francisco will undergo what can only be described as a gridlock day here, and so they may wait and see how the transportation system holds up under the conditions tomorrow. And 3, and what has been a major point all week long, is the certification of Candlestick Park. Is the park physically ready to hold the baseball games? The important thing, I think, of this meeting is the fact that the mayor of San Francisco will be here along with Fay Vincent, the commissioner of baseball, because all along they have said that it is Art Agnos' decision on whether or not to use Candlestick Park. So we'll be here at 2 o'clock for that, and of course we'll be back with you for the results of this news conference. Pat O'Brien, San Francisco, back to you, Brent, in New York.
All right, Pat, thank you very much. Well, at this point of the postgame show now, we will say goodbye to those of you who watched the Minnesota Vikings win again with Herschel Walker leading the way. We're going to send you back to the remote and Dick Stockton. And for the rest of you, we're going to come back and we'll have more scores and highlights, and we'll also update you on the games that are in progress right after this message.
Minnesota Vikings defeated the Detroit Lions 20-7 here. And the Vikings now 5-2, pending what the Bears do Monday night against the Cleveland Browns, have a half-game lead in the Central Division. And Dan Fouts, it was a game in which defense, 8 sacks by the Minnesota defense, none by Millard or Dolman. 5 turnovers, they scored on 2 of them. So how would you characterize the game as you saw it?
Well, the Vikings have put together 2 great games in a row now since they've got Herschel Walker. And the offense, although not spectacular, was very consistent, very disciplined. Tommy Kramer was outstanding today, didn't force the ball down the field, and they played a great team game today.
89 yards for Herschel Walker. He scored a touchdown. Did you get a sense that that Walker is still going to be the focal point of this team?
Well, he should be, and that's saying a lot because they have a lot of stars. Anthony Carter and Steve Jordan, to name 2. But Herschel Walker is the runner, and all coaches want to establish a running game, control the ball on the ground, because then you can eat up the clock and all that. The positive thing for the Vikings is they got Wade Wilson into the game, a little practice today, and Tommy Kramer played well.
And a great defensive effort against two rookies. Sanders and Pete are going to be some players, but against the Vikings, they're in a different league.
Well, that defense isn't #1 for nothing. The great pressure from all of the defensive linemen seemed to get in there today and put Pete in a situation where he just wasn't used to and wasn't comfortable.
So the Vikings win, and the Lions go 1-6, and the Minnesota Vikings are now 5-2 on the season, and right now they're in first place in the division. So for Dan Fouts, I'm Dick Stockton saying so long from the Pontiac Silverdome. The final score: the Vikings 20 and the Lions 7. Next Sunday, NFL action continues, starting at 12:30 Eastern with the NFL Today, followed by Game 1. Most of you will see the LA Rams versus Chicago or Detroit versus Green Bay. And then in the late game, you'll see Philadelphia versus Denver. Saturday college football, 10th-ranked Alabama travels to number 17-ranked Nittany Lions of Penn State, starting at 2:30 Eastern.
The post-game show has been sponsored by Miller Lite, official sponsor of the NFL Player of the Year Award. Miller Lite brings you the NFL's best.